Good morning, all of you. All right. Sorry for being delayed, but in my class you keep it at 7:45. Today I got delayed, but normally also I'll not reach before 7:45. So please be here by only 7:45. Okay. Last class we stopped after having talked on all the autonomy policies on public sector. Today we start talking on the second method of reforms in public sector. That is, when we talk about disinvestment or divestment. Both these words mean the same thing, disinvestment or divestment. Good morning, Nisha and Raj Lakshmi. Now see, when you look at disinvestment, divestment, these kind of words, it means this. It is sale of government shares in a public sector to any other enterprise or individuals. That is what is called disinvestment. When government shares are sold to any other enterprise. When I say any other enterprise, it includes even government enterprise. All right, I'll tell you what I mean by that. If LIC shares are purchased even by Coal India Limited, that is disinvestment. अगर सरकार के शेयर्स किसी सरकारी कंपनी में कोई दूसरी सरकारी कंपनी भी खरीदती है तो उसे भी डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट माना जाता है. Alright, if government shares are purchased by another government company from any other government firm, that is also disinvestment. For example, HPCL sold to ONGC is also disinvestment. Other than that, of course, if a private company buys it, it is disinvestment. And if people like me, you, we buy it, individuals, that is also disinvestment. So disinvestment implies selling of government shares to any other enterprise or to individuals. Then there are three types of disinvestment. One, minority sale. Now, minority sale is when government shareholding after disinvestment is still greater than 74%. अगर सरकार के शेयर्स कंपनी में डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट करने के बाद भी 74% से ज़्यादा हैं, then we are calling it a minority sale. If government shareholding even after disinvestment are more than 74%, we call it minority sale. Now why this? Because according to Indian corporate laws, if one institution controls more than 74% share in any company, then it is as good as controlling 100%. All right, it is like that. That is why it is said to be minority sale. इंडिया के कानून के हिसाब से अगर एक कोई इंस्टीट्यूशन किसी कंपनी में 74% से ज़्यादा शेयर होल्डिंग रखता है तो वो 100% के ही बराबर है ऑलमोस्ट. उनके अगेंस्ट कोई रिजोल्यूशन तक नहीं ला सकते. ऑलराइट, यू कांट इवन ब्रिंग अ रिजोल्यूशन अगेंस्ट देम इफ दे आर होल्डिंग more than 74% share in a company. So what I'm implying is that more than 74% effectively means 100% in Indian corporate system. That is why if government sells 2% share, 5% share, 3% share, 10% share in any of their company, then it is as good as still 100% government control. I can believe it can stay with you. I'm saying this for a reason. When people don't understand these nuances, what they do is, even when government sells 3.5% in LIC, that's what we sold 2 years back, even that is called privatization. All right, that is far away from privatization. सरकार का पूरा कंट्रोल बना रहता है अगर सरकार 74% के ऊपर अपने पास रखे हुए हैं. All right, क्यों बेचेंगे फिर? What's the purpose of doing it? Two. One, I'll make you write these purposes, but I'm just introducing you to them. One, raising money, of course. When you sell these shares, you get money. Like government sold 3.5% shares of LIC, and government made 20,000 crore rupees out of that. So obviously, one reason is money. But second, equally important reason is transparency. When you sell shares in a company, government company, say any company for that matter, the company has to be registered with Securities Exchange Board of India. Its shares have to be listed on the stock exchange, and then those shares can be sold to others. That means that the company is now liable to submit its annual report, audited report, which will have all details of its dealings to SEBI. And that is more transparency. That एक कंपनी को अब पता है कि मेरे सारे रिपोर्ट सिक्योरिटीज एक्सचेंज बोर्ड ऑफ इंडिया के पास जाएंगे, इसका मतलब वो पब्लिक डोमेन में रहेंगे. Whom did I give salary to? How much salary was paid? Who were the honorary members? Who got the contract? What kind of payments I made for each of my work done? What payments did I receive for it? All these details are in public domain once the company is listed. Listed means registered with stock exchange. So that again is an important purpose of disinvestment, even minority sale. That okay, we will keep it as a public sector company, but we will get it listed so that there is no confusion regarding their activities and there is no opacity. कोई ऐसा situation ना हो जहाँ लोगों को पता ही ना चले कि ये companies कर क्या रही हैं. All right, that is the idea here. The second thing is strategic minority sale. In this case, government shareholding after disinvestment is less than equal to 74% but greater than 50%. Government shareholding after disinvestment is less than equal to 74% but greater than 50%. All right, that is this government shareholding situation here. Again, since it is greater than 50%, so the name minority still remains. All right, strategic minority sale, minority because it is still greater than 50%. So the company still entirely belongs to the government. All activities will be done by the government. And strategic because government can have a strategy behind doing this. Strategy like deliberately creating group of shareholders large in number. Suppose government sells 30% shares to 5 lakh people, 10 lakh people, and everybody buys, somebody buys 0.1% share, somebody buys 0.5% share, and so on. So suppose 5 lakh people are buying these shares. Now these 5 lakh people become people who can hold the company's board, company's managers, and company's workers responsible for working better. Understand that? जब लोग शेयर्स होल्ड करेंगे तो कंपनी पे प्रेशर डालेंगे कि आप अच्छा परफॉर्म करें ताकि मेरे शेयर की वैल्यू बढ़े. You understand that? If nobody holds the shares and it's only with the government, people are indifferent to the plight. So that's called giving it a personal impact. That create a group of shareholders who can become the political support when the government tries disciplining the company. All right, that is equally important at times. Sometimes the strategy can also be to inform the market that we would like to leave the market now. Alright, so market को signal देती है सरकार that okay, I am continuously reducing my shareholding in this company and I am going to privatize this company in the longer run so other companies in the market can take their position. Alright, that can also be a possibility. Sometimes it is also to make sure that you create wealth for common people. Suppose I buy a public sector company share, you buy a public sector company share, and it's rising in value. It's rising in value means the wealth I am holding is also rising. So all these are strategic minority sale. All right, that government will have a strategy, but they will still keep the company as a public sector. So they do a minority sale, but now with a strategy in their mind. And otherwise, the third possible type of disinvestment is what we call privatization, or strategic disinvestment. Privatization or strategic disinvestment. What does that imply? It implies when government shareholding goes below 50% and management control is transferred to private sector. When government shareholding goes below 50% and management control is transferred to private sector. Mind you, that is privatization. For example, in case of Air India, government sells all its 100% shares and the control of management gets transferred to the Tatas. You understand that? That is privatization. So what is management control transferred to private sector? The board of directors will be controlled by private sector and not by the public sector anymore. Alright, जो board of directors हैं, उन्हें private sector control करेगा. Public sector is not controlling them anymore. So I can safely assume that my classroom is clear now that all disinvestment is not privatization. All right, remain informed because जैसे जैसे political क्लोजर आएगा ना, इलेक्शंस पास आएंगे, इन सभी की धज्जियां उड़ा दी जाती हैं. ऑलराइट, कुछ ध्यान नहीं रखा जाता, सब कुछ प्राइवेटाइज हो गया हमारे देश में. ठीक है, ऐसी बातें की जाएंगी. अभी मैं आपको एक बात और सिखाऊंगा. मोनेटाइजेशन इज नॉट प्राइवेटाइजेशन, बट it will take 10 minutes, half an hour to go to that place. Before that, I need to analyze disinvestment for you. So what we are doing is we talk about what is disinvestment, the different types of disinvestment. Now we go into the reasons for disinvestment or benefits of disinvestment. Why do we do disinvestment? What are the reasons? What are the benefits? So we go that side. We talk about reasons of or benefits of disinvestment, including or privatization. मैं क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस कर रहा हूं आपके साथ, तो मैं बात कर रहा हूं डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट का मतलब क्या है. Then I talked about what are the types. I am talking to you about benefits of disinvestment. I will talk to you about challenges of disinvestment, and then we will conclude by suggesting what should be the approach of the government. All right, and what should we do about disinvestment? Okay. I said this last class. I'm repeating again so that it remains fresh in your memory. That whenever we talk about role of the government keeps changing along with the economy's changes. For example, in 1950s, the government's role was very different because we were a very poor economy. Infrastructure was completely missing. People were very illiterate. Government administration capacity was very limited. So government had a very different role to play in India in those days. All right, private sector's presence was very limited. Industrialization was negligible in modern industries. तो सरकार का एक रोल था. 1990s आते हुए ये कुछ काफ़ी चीज़ें चेंज हो गई, तो सरकार का एक रोल रहेगा. 2023 India will be different from 1955 India. So obviously government will have a different role. So if we look at government's role in a society or economy from the point of view of 1950s or historical prism, it will create unnecessary truncations. तो पहले तो ये दिमाग में रखना है that सरकार के रोल बदलते रहेंगे, लोगों के रोल बदलते रहते हैं, फैमिलीज के रोल बदल गए, माता पिता का रोल बदल गया, जो लोग नहीं समझे वो परिवार में अभी भी घमासान कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, कुछ लोग हैं, मेरे एक मित्र हैं, वो एक दिन बड़े परेशान थे. His son is my son's age. His son was in 10th standard. He said, "Oh look, these guys are exposed to internet and everything. I'm very worried what my son would be watching." I said, "We were not exposed to internet, but I remember what you used to watch." So if that didn't make any difference to your life, it won't make difference to our children's life. Don't get unnecessarily bothered about it. But that is the aspect that we don't realize that maybe the situations can change, the systems can change. Humans remain humans. They have a method to work. We need to adapt to the changes around us. If we don't adapt to the changes around us, that is the problem part. All right, so role of government is very important. Now, what is the role of government in any economic system which wants to grow better? The major role of the government is to do core activities as good as possible. What are these core activities? Core activities are those which can be very difficult to implement without government in it. For example, law and order, defense, judiciary, say making legislations, say education, healthcare, water supply. You understand that? Yesterday I was, because of which I couldn't see you, the institute sent me to Miranda House. So I was there taking a seminar, and I was talking to the principal of the institution after that, and we were discussing this, that what we are silently seeing in India, and she was agreeing to what I was saying, that we are silently visualizing in India privatization of higher education. That what government is doing is gradually weakening the higher education institutions of India by whatever reasons, maybe not investing money in them or not appointing correct quality of teachers. Due respects, I don't mean any offense to any teachers. Some of them are very good friends, but फिर भी मुझे quality of teachers पे काफी doubt रहता है, जो धीरे-धीरे appoint हो रहे हैं या अभी भी जो काम करते हैं. By not pressurizing the teachers and students to be as efficient as possible. So then what's happening is, what we are seeing, at least what my data suggests to me, because I keep collecting data on these things, that the upper middle class of India and the upper class of India is silently shifting their children towards private institutions or sending them abroad. You understand that? One of these two things is happening. It's not yet picked up. ऐसा नहीं है कि अभी ये 50% लोग कर रहे हैं. शुरुआत ऐसे ही होती है. कुछ लोग शुरू करते हैं कि नहीं भाई, मेरा बच्चा तो एक अशोका यूनिवर्सिटी चला जाएगा, या मेरा बच्चा तो एक ओपी जिंदल यूनिवर्सिटी चला जाएगा. मैं दिल्ली की बात कर रहा हूँ, आप बाकी जगहों की बात छोड़िए, वहां भी ये हो रहा है. आई एम जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट दिल्ली, क्योंकि वो अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं कि अच्छा 30 लाख रुपए देने पड़ेंगे ग्रेजुएशन के, मैं 30 लाख रुपए दे दूंगा, लेकिन मेरा बच्चा तो यहाँ चला जाएगा. बट दैट किड माइट बी अ किड हु हैज स्कोर्ड वेरी वेल, एंड दैट किड कैन ऐड वेरी गुड वैल्यू टू द क्लासरूम इन विच शी सिट्स. But that value is now going somewhere else. और कुछ लोग कहते हैं नहीं, मेरा बच्चा तो सीधा बाहर ही चला जाएगा, वो यूएस से ग्रेजुएशन कर लेगा या यूके से ग्रेजुएशन कर लेगा. So then now the upper middle class India is doing that, sometimes even taking education loans. कुछ लोग इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस में ऐसे ही चूज कर रहे हैं that okay, if my son is not getting into an IIT or an NIT, then I will send my child to a private engineering college where at least the teaching will be more maybe nuanced. This is a trend. I'm not saying correct, incorrect, मैं उसमें नहीं जाना चाहता. बता रहा हूँ आपको कि ट्रेंड क्या देखने को मिल रहा है. यही ट्रेंड इंडिया ने देखा था 30-40 साल पहले, हमारी जनरेशन के वक्त, जब अपर मिडिल क्लास ने अपने बच्चों को गवर्नमेंट स्कूल से प्राइवेट स्कूल में शिफ्ट करना शुरू किया था. Understand that. My father was a government school product, well-to-do. He could speak better English than what I could. I can always vouch for that, because in his generation, government schools would teach very differently. Government schools would have European teachers. That was his generation. He would always claim that you guys are best among the worst possible. My, he would always say that to us, derogatorily at times. जब कभी उनका मूड बनता था, कभी कोई डिबेट होता था, तुम क्या लेवल का डिबेट करते हो, तो ऐसे बात होती थी. My mother was also a government school product, and incidentally she was from Miranda House. She finished her graduation and post graduation in political science from Miranda House only, so I was pretty enthralled going there, क्योंकि उसके पहले मैंने अपने मदर का अलुमिनाई कभी देखा नहीं था. That was one reason I chose to be there, कि जब मुझे इंस्टीट्यूट ने बोला आप जाना चाहेंगे, मैंने कहा चलो इसी बहाने देखेंगे माँ पढ़ते कहाँ पे थे, क्योंकि वो बहुत हाईली बोलते थे अपने इंस्टीट्यूशंस के बारे में कि मैं ऐसे पढ़ाई हमारी होती थी, ऐसे सिखाया जाता था. मैं आपको इसलिए कहानियां बता रहा हूँ that why did private schools or government schools go down in their performance? Because the quality of students going there started declining, because of the quality of households sending their children there started becoming poorer. I'm not saying quality of household was bad, it was just that it was poor, it was uninformed. So the teachers started taking things for granted, the system started taking things for granted, and they thought that okay, I can get away by teaching bad or poor subject expertise, I can ignore these children, I can get away with it, and gradually it became a culture. ये सब होने में 40 साल लगा, इसलिए हमें लगता है कि ये सतत है, हमेशा से हो रहा होगा इंडिया में. तभी मैं आपको अपने फादर मदर की स्टोरी सुना रहा था कि ऐसा हमेशा से नहीं हो रहा था इंडिया में. हमारे जनरेशन में बहुत सारे ऐसे बच्चे थे जो गवर्नमेंट स्कूल जाते थे और अच्छी पढ़ाई करते थे. मेरे फर्स्ट कजिन है, माय मासी's son, he is a government school product, he is a joint secretary in government of India at the moment. So till my generation, suddenly after my generation things started going a little downhill. Why? Again, because majority of the children started, especially from middle class background, lower middle class background, upper middle class background, which could have put a pressure on the teachers in government school, start shifting elsewhere. हाँ, अभी भी कुछ government schools अच्छा perform कर रहे हैं, जैसे केंद्रीय विद्यालय, सर्वोदय विद्यालय, प्रतिभा विकास विद्यालय. You see that these are still performing well, but again, why? Not because the system is great, but because they're still attracting some good talent into them, and that results in good performance by them. So what I'm trying to tell you is that this is silent privatization of education. सरकार कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं, but धीरे-धीरे स्तर घटिया कर रहे हैं. तो जो बाकी लोग हैं अपने आप शिफ्ट कर जाते हैं. अब तो जो गरीब लोग भी हैं, मेरे जो गाड़ी चलाते हैं, कंपैरेटिवली गरीब मानूंगा मैं उन्हें, तो वो भी अपने बच्चों को प्राइवेट स्कूल भेज रहे हैं, वो गवर्नमेंट स्कूल नहीं भेज रहे. तो ये क्यों हो रहा है? द लैक ऑफ फेथ इन इट. अब यही ट्रेंड मैं कॉलेज में देख रहा हूँ. The same trend I see. So 30 years later, one of you will say, oh look, that old man was saying this in the classroom that day. Now we see this happening, that upper middle class children and middle class children are opting for private institutions, or they are going abroad, and the government institutions are not performing as well. That's sad. That is not something I would aspire my children to do. You know, because government has a major role to play in things like education or healthcare. आप सोचिए, हमने गवर्नमेंट हेल्थकेयर को डिसमिस कर रखा है ना. कोई नहीं जाता सरकारी अस्पताल में अगर उनकी जेब में पैसे हैं या हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस है. People don't choose a government hospital. That is the challenge. That should not happen, ideally. What should happen is government should provide good schooling, government should provide good college, government should provide good hospitals, and people should aspire to be there. आप सोच के देखिए, दिल्ली पब्लिक स्कूल, ये पब्लिक स्कूल नाम कहाँ से आया? क्योंकि पब्लिक स्कूल ब्रिटेन में, फ्रांस में, यूएसए में स्टैंडर्ड सेट करते थे ऑफ गुड स्कूलिंग. पब्लिक मतलब क्या हुआ? सरकार. तो जो सरकारी स्कूल है वहाँ यूएसए में या फ्रांस में या ब्रिटेन में, वो स्टैंडर्ड सेट करते हैं. आपका सरकारी स्कूल में आराम से एडमिशन नहीं होता. जो बहुत तेज बच्चे होते हैं, ब्रेनी होते हैं, वो सरकारी स्कूल जाते हैं. तो कहा जाता है इफ यू आर पब्लिक स्कूल एजुकेटेड देन यू हैव अ ग्रेट ब्रेन, देन यू मस्ट हैव अ लॉट ऑफ टैलेंट. तो वहां से हमने कॉपी कर लिया और हमारे प्राइवेट स्कूल ने अपना नाम रख दिया दिल्ली पब्लिक स्कूल. You understand that? So I am a DPS product, but I tried finding out that you know कि वो पब्लिक स्कूल नाम कहाँ से आता है. तो ये पब्लिक स्कूल नाम यहाँ से आना शुरू हुआ. You know कि ये जो दिल्ली पब्लिक स्कूल नाम आता है, ये पब्लिक का मतलब तो होता है सरकार, बट हमारे यहाँ प्राइवेट स्कूल अपने नाम के साथ पब्लिक लगा लेते हैं, suggesting good quality. So please understand this. That is core activity of government. सरकार बोलते हैं मैं फ्री पानी देता हूं, दिल्ली सरकार भी बोलती है. और कौन सा फ्री पानी? जिसे आरओ लगा के पीना पड़ता है. ऐसा फ्री पानी से कैसे फायदा होगा? Then I'm not helping the poor. I'm giving them free disease. Because अगर उसको पीने से बीमारी नहीं होगी तो मैं और आप क्यों आरओ से पीते हैं? फिर हमें आराम से पानी, किसी भी नलके को खोले और पानी पी जाए. ऐसा जर्मनी में हुआ था मेरे साथ, तो मैंने आपको बताया भी होगा। तो लेकिन किसी भी नलके को खोल के पानी पीना तो हमारी हिम्मत नहीं है, और वॉशरूम का नलका तो सवाल ही नहीं उठता है। We don't go and open our washroom tap and say, okay, let's drink this water. We don't do that. But that is the quality that government can aspire to reach. That is again a core activity, so that people don't suffer from a dysentery or a diarrhea or a typhoid or a jaundice. People can be saved from all that. तो ये कोर एक्टिविटी है सरकार के, ये सरकार ही करेंगी और उन्हीं को करना चाहिए। अगर हम इन्हें प्राइवेटाइज करेंगे तो हाउस होल्ड्स की और नुकसान कर देंगे। दे विल नॉट बी एबल टू गेन एज मच। एंड देन देयर कैन बी अदर्स ऑल्सो, फॉर एग्जाम्पल पब्लिक प्रोविजनिंग ऑफ लाइटिंग इन अ सिस्टम। पब्लिक लाइटिंग की बात कर रहा हूँ, सो पब्लिक प्रोविजनिंग ऑफ लाइटिंग, गवर्नमेंट सपोर्ट टू ग्रोथ ऑफ रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, government support to defense manufacturing, especially research and development in defense. These are core. गवर्नमेंट करे तो ज्यादा बढ़िया, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट इनको बेहतर कर सकते हैं। रूरल रोड कंस्ट्रक्शन, these are things that government can do, and there are few things that government doesn't need to do. For example, government doesn't need to run a motor pump company. Government doesn't need to run hotels. We run ITDC group of hotels. सरकार होटल क्यों चलाए? आप सोच के देखिए। मैं आज के 1950-60 के सरकार शायद जरूरत होगी, आज के सरकार को होटल चलाने की क्या जरूरत है? We don't need government to run hotels in the country. We don't need government to run motor pump companies, scooter manufacturing companies. I mean, these are passe. ये हेल्प नहीं करते हमारे देश को किसी भी तरह से। ये काम प्राइवेट सेक्टर कर सकते हैं। You understand that? That is the time. मतलब वो वक्त आ गया जब प्राइवेट सेक्टर सरकार को बोले कि ये सब काम मैं कर लेता हूँ, आप ड्रीम 11 पे टीम बनाइए। आप जाइए अपना मेन काम करिए, ये सब मैं देख लूंगा। So if government can understand that, that is the first idea of privatization or disinvestment, shifting away from non-core activity and doing core activities. अब सोचिए, जब हम सरकार से बोलते हैं पीने का पानी साफ क्यों नहीं है, तो बोलते हैं पैसा नहीं हमारे पास। If we have enough resources, we will give clean drinking water. Why don't we get good rural roads? We don't have money. Why don't we get good schooling in rural areas, remote areas? We don't have money. Why don't we have good hospitals of the government? We don't have money. In all these things, they said they don't have money, and they have money to run all these scooters, India Company and Bharat Motor Pump. Makes no sense. They should not have money to do that. Then it's prioritization. So that was the point one, actually, that it will release resources. अगर सरकार disinvestment करेंगे, privatize करेंगे, तो resources release होंगे, like land stuck up in public sector, which can then be used by the government for other purposes, like people stuck up in public sector, who can be used by government for other purposes. Imagine you become an IAS officer, God willing you do, and then your first posting is that we make you general manager Bharat Motor Pumps. And we keep you there for 5 years. We give you your second posting, Senior General Manager Scooters India. We keep you there for 5 years. We give you your third posting, CEO ITDC Group of Hotels. तो आप बोलेंगे ना कि मैं सरकार चलाने आया था, कंपनी मैनेज करने नहीं। यही मैं पिछले 10 मिनट से बोल रहा हूँ। सरकार का काम सरकार चलाना है, कंपनी चलाना नहीं। कंपनी कोई और भी चला सकते हैं। अगर आपको कंपनी चलाना होता आईएएस बनकर, तो आप मैनेजमेंट करके किसी कंपनी के सीईओ हो गए, कम से कम करोड़ों कमा तो रहे होते बिना घूस लिए। क्योंकि अगर आप आईएएस बन के वो कमा रहे हैं, तो आप कि कहीं ना कहीं तो कमाई में कुछ गड़बड़ी है, क्योंकि आपकी सैलरी तो वो नहीं है। तो फिर उस केस में आप कम से कम घूस ना ले, मैनेजमेंट करें, कंपनीज रन करें, ग्रो अप द कॉर्पोरेट लैडर, अर्न मिलियंस, नो प्रॉब्लम विद दैट, दैट्स वैल्यू क्रिएशन, नोबडी विल रेजिस्ट दैट। बट इतनी मेहनत करके, एथिक्स का पेपर पास करके, आईएएस बनने के बाद घपला घोटाला। वैसे अब तो ये बनने से पहले ही शुरू हो रहा है, एथिक्स का पेपर टेलीग्राम पे देखना। तो घपले घोटाले तो शुरू हो गए हैं। खैर मैं बहुत ही एथिकल हूं, मैं पायरेटेड कॉपीज देखता हूं। वहीं से एथिक्स के सारे लेक्चर लिए मैंने। So So what I'm trying to teach you is that government needs to be in certain areas. Disinvestment, especially privatization, allows that. There is a second reason also. I'll make you write 1 and 2 together, so I'm just explaining that. When we sell these companies, it does two things. One, it gives money to the government, which can be used for other developmental activities like running schools, hospitals, etc. It saves money for the government. भारत सरकार, आप सोच के देखिए, जब तक एयर इंडिया चला रहे थे, भारत सरकार ने 6,000 करोड़ रुपए भारत सरकार हर साल एयर इंडिया पे खर्च करते थे. अब कम से कम वो तो बच गया. 6,000 करोड़ मतलब 10 चंद्रयान पर एनम. You know, a finance worth 10 Chandrayaan we were doing on Air India, which was perpetually running in a loss. This is something we need to be careful about. तुम सोच के देखना हम कैसे ग्रांटेड लेते हैं. अगर जैसे मैं आपको आज बता नहीं पाया और डिले हो गया, आपको थोड़ी इरिटेशन हो सकती है, जो जायज है, एंड आई एम एक्चुअली सॉरी फॉर दैट. आई हैड नॉट प्लान्ड टू गेट डिलेड. इट टेक्स मी टाइम टू कम फ्रॉम माय प्लेस. इट्स अराउंड 31 kilometers अवे, एंड दैट्स व्हाई आई टोल्ड यू दैट इट्स अराउंड 7:45 दैट आई विल बी एबल टू रीच यू. मैं तो उम्र हो गई है तो पूजा पाठ करता हूँ. वैसे पूजा पाठ में उम्र से पहले ही से करता हूँ. आई हैव बीन डूइंग ऑल दिस सिंस चाइल्डहुड. तो एक आदत है, सुबह उठ के नहाए, पूजा किए, तब कुछ खाना खा के ही निकलते हैं. तो अब वो सब परेशानी है, क्या करें. तो सुबह मैं क्लास में आया लेट से. अब आपको मान लीजिए 10 मिनट 15 मिनट में लगा कि भाई क्यों लेट किया सर ने, ये जायज़ नहीं है. और सही बात भी है, आपको फील हो सकता है, और मैं आपको सॉरी भी बोल रहा हूँ और बोलना चाहिए भी. लेकिन क्या यही काम कभी इंडियन रेलवेज करते हैं हमारे साथ? हमें 3-3 घंटे डिले कराते हैं. अभी तो मैं बहुत दिनों से रेलवेज में बैठा नहीं हूँ. माई लास्ट रेलवे ट्रिप वॉज आई थिंक 2009 और 8, बट आई एम श्योर दे आर कंटिन्यूइंग देयर लेगेसी. मुझे उन पे पूरा भरोसा है कि अगर एक बार आप रेलवे पे बैठ गए तो आप ईश्वर के हवाले हो गए. देन गॉड willing you will reach. कहानियां सुनाते हैं. आप सोचिए what a joke we have become that we reach our home, somebody asks us and it's a normal question. ये बातचीत शुरू करने का तरीका होता है, कितनी देर थी तुम्हारी ट्रेन, और हम भी बोलते हैं 1 घंटे, तो दूसरे बोलते हैं अच्छा बस. एक बार जब मैं 12 घंटे देर से पहुंचा था. Imagine, but that's not what you expect the railways to do. They are taking money from us to take us from one place to another, and if they are taking less money from us, they should not do that. My next point was that एयर कंडीशनड कोचेस को सब्सिडी देने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. गरीब लोग एयर कंडीशनड में नहीं घूमते हैं इंडिया में. तो ये बिगाड़ना होता है अपने देश के लोगों को. दिस इज इनडिसिप्लिन, शुड नॉट बी डन. नो पुअर ट्रैवल्स एयर कंडीशनर. Let them travel air conditioned, paying their money. Some people say no, people will shift to airplanes. Let them. Why should I mollycoddle them for that? तुम मेरा नुकसान करा दो, लेकिन प्लीज मेरे ही ट्रेन में आओ. क्यों? मैं वो दो एसी कंपार्टमेंट्स हटा दूंगा और उसकी जगह पे 2 जनरल बॉगी कंपार्टमेंट लगा दूंगा, उसमें सब्सिडी दे दूंगा. वो सब्सिडी जस्टिफाइड है. There is no problem with that subsidy. Because that is directly going to the poors and getting the poors more seats to sit. We are stuffing them like animals in general bogie compartment. मैंने सफर किया जनरल बॉगी कंपार्टमेंट में, अच्छे से जानता हूँ क्या हालत होती है. उसके बाद आपको वॉशरूम वगैरह कुछ जाने का अधिकार नहीं है. आप जहां हैं वहीं बैठे रहे. जब जगह आएगी आपकी, चुपचाप से भीड़ आपको खुद ही उतार देगी. आपको उतर के खड़े हो जाना है बस. तो ये ट्रीटमेंट हम दे रहे हैं उनको जो पैसे नहीं दे पा रहे ठीक से, और जो एसी में जा रहे हैं उनके लिए सारे फैसिलिटीज और साथ में सब्सिडी. व्हाट सेंस डज इट मेक? Why should they be getting that? If they want to travel airplanes, let them travel airplanes. Let me see how they will drop down from parachute on the respective stations where they want to get down. Because the airplane won't take you into deeper places. तो अगर आपको किसी डीपर प्लेस में जाना है तो रेलवे ही लेना पड़ेगा. तब आप एसी यूज करेंगे और पैसे देकर करेंगे, क्योंकि आज लोग कर रहे हैं. बस फर्क क्या है, एंड मोमेंट में टिकट कटाते हैं और टाउट को पैसा देते हैं. 1,500 का टिकट 3,000 का खरीदते हैं. लेकिन अगर रेलवे ने सर्ज प्राइसिंग लगा दी तो ऑब्जेक्शन करते हैं. हाउ अनएथिकल ऑफ इंडियन गवर्नमेंट. दे आर ब्रिंगिंग सर्ज प्राइसिंग. वैसे मैं सर्ज प्राइस टाउट को दे दूंगा गलत काम करने के लिए, उसको थैंक यू भी बोलूंगा. That these are the structural inefficiencies we need to get rid of. If we don't get rid of these, we will be in trouble. तो अब मैं आपको एक एक करके ये दोनों पॉइंट लिखवाता हूं और बाकी के पॉइंट्स आपको ऑलरेडी समझा चुका हूं. So let's go into that one by one. You write the first point. You write, it means disinvestment or privatization. All right. It will release real resources. It will release real resources like land and labor for use in core activities, CORE, core activities of the government, comma, if government exits the non-core activity, full stop. This will improve efficiency. Of government services in core activity. Then you write second. The funds released from disinvestment and budgetary resources saved from privatization will help in assuring that there is enough resource in monetary terms with the government to provide developmental support to the economy. जैसे अभी आप लोग एक सवाल मुझे पूछते हैं जो जायज सवाल है. It's a very correct question that I am asked by many people in India, that if we pay road tax and we pay our normal income tax and other taxes, why does the government expect us to pay toll charges also while using the road? Because we are asking the government to give us free other things, and then the resources get limited. Understand it like that. Something got to be paid for. It can either be a road that the government can give freely to the people, or it can be electricity that they can give free to the people. So if I want my free electricity and a free Wi-Fi, and a free water supply and a free schooling and a free hospital, all bad in quality but I won't object, then I will have to pay for other things at times. Finally, it's my pocket that they will get into to get things that they want to produce. अगर मैं कहता हूं नहीं यूको बैंक कितना भी खराब हो लेकिन चलाओ प्लीज, मैं नहीं बेचने दूंगा तुम्हें उसे, तो कहेंगे कोई बात नहीं, तुम्हारी जेब से पैसा लेके ये बैंक चलाते रहेंगे. पिछले 10 सालों में, in the last 10 years, government's collection of toll charges, and I'm giving you figures from National Highway Authority of India website, government's collection in toll figures has been 2,43,000 crore in the last 10 years. And in the last 10 years, the money paid for refinancing of banks in India, public sector bank, has been 3,87,000 crore rupees. तो आप पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक चलवा लीजिए, यू नो, उसके थ्रू लोन मिल जाएंगे, जैसे विजय माल खा गया, नहीं विजय माल्या जो जैसे लोगों को, यू नो, तो उन लोगों को पैसे मिल जाएंगे और हम उनको डिसिप्लिन भी ना करें, हम बोले नहीं नहीं तुम चलाते रहो, तुम नुकसान में चलो, तो ऑब्वियसली इफ इट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम वन पॉकेट इनटू वन पॉकेट, इट इज गोइंग अवे फ्रॉम अनदर. कॉमन पीपल गॉट टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. So when we say why do we pay for toll roads, why do we have such costly systems in our country, why policing is so weak in my system, the answer lies there to a great extent. Resource compromise. What am I teaching you here? I am teaching you that if I disinvest, and at times, I'm not saying always, but at times if I privatize, I am removing misallocation of resources. The point is that if I misallocate my resources, I will be in loss. But if I remove misallocation of resources, एक बात है दिमाग में, तुम्हें भी बताता हूँ, एक बहुत आसान तरीका है. अगर तुम एक आंसर चाहते हो कि मैं ज्यादा पढ़ाई कैसे कर सकता हूं या ज्यादा काम कैसे कर सकता हूं, अपने लेजर टाइम को डिफाइन कर लो. ऑलराइट, डिफाइन कि ये मेरे मस्ती का वक्त है, इसके अलावा मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं, मुझे जो काम करा लो. एंड डिफाइन 2-3 hours ऑफ लेजर फॉर योर सेल्फ. सो 7 hours ऑफ स्लीप एंड 3 hours ऑफ लेजर, 1 hour of daily chore, 1 hour of daily chore, 12-13 hours still left to study. But we don't define our leisure time, we define our work time. मैं 6 बजे से 8 बजे तक पढ़ूंगा, तो जैसे ही 8 का 8:10 होता है हमें थोड़ी नाराजगी होने लग जाती है. ऐसा क्यों? 8 चलो उठते हैं, इस बार ये खत्म नहीं कर पाया जो मैंने प्लान किया था. क्यों? तुम खत्म कर सकते हो, बैठो खत्म करो, उठ जाओ. अभी तुम कितनी मेहनत तो कर ही रहे हो, 2-2 क्लास हो रही हैं तुम्हारी, कुछ लोगों की उसके बाद तीसरी ऑप्शनल क्लास होती है. सो यू आर डूइंग 3 classes in a day and then revising few of them, so you are already putting in 12-13 hours. As the classes get over, do not leave this habit, don't take a relaxation. आदत तो पड़ी गई है अब तुम्हें, continue with it. And again I repeat, the best way is, I was also told this by someone, मेरे grandfather थे वो, मैं उन्हीं के साथ बड़ा हो रहा था, उन्होंने मुझे ये बचपन में सिखा दिया था कि खेलने का टाइम डिफाइन कर लो, कि किस वक्त तुम्हें बिल्कुल नहीं पढ़ना, बिल्कुल काम नहीं करना. तो उन्होंने मेरे लिए डिफाइन कर दिया था जब मैं छोटा था कि शाम के 5 बजे से 7:30 बजे तक चाहे जो मर्जी हो जाए, तुम पढ़ोगे नहीं और तुम कुछ नहीं करोगे, तुम्हें जो मन आता है वो करो. तो मुझे जो मन आता था करता था, क्रिकेट खेल लिया, कभी कॉमिक्स पढ़ ली एंड ऑल दैट. बट अदर देन दैट ही वुड से व्हेनेवर आई विल टेल यू टू डू थिंग्स, यू विल डू थिंग्स. आई वुड डू इट. एंड एज आई ग्रू अप द हैबिट कंटिन्यूड that one point of time in my day I will not do anything no matter what. तो मुझे नहीं करा सकते काम, और उसके अलावा जब मर्जी जो काम करा लो. तो मैंने देखा 14 घंटे 15 घंटे दिन के ऐसे ही निकल जाते हैं, क्योंकि जैसे आप बुढ़े होते जाओगे मेरी तरह स्लीप आवर्स कम हो जाते हैं. I can do with a 5-6 hours sleep now. Now means last 20 odd years, 6 odd hours, it works for me. हो जाता है. छुट्टी के दिन में थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा सो लेता हूँ, 7 घंटे सो लेता हूँ, but normally with 6 odd hours it does for me. तो काम चल जाता है मेरा. शायद उम्र का असर होता जा रहा है, तो ज़्यादा वक्त मिल जाता है काम करने को. लेकिन किन चीज़ उससे, जब आप टाइम डिफाइन करते हैं अपने पढ़ने का या अपने काम का, अपने लेजर का, तो आपको पता होता है दिस इज अ कॉस्टली टाइम, आई कांट कॉम्प्रोमाइज ऑन दिस. तो ये 2-3 घंटे तो मैं वही करूंगा जिसमें मुझे बहुत मजा आ रहा है. उसके बाद कोई आके कहे, अरे पता है इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया मैच में ये हुआ, जो मर्जी हो रहा हो यार, हर साल ये मैचेस होते हैं, हर साल एक टीम जीतती है एक हारती है. पिछले 5 साल में हम लोग करीब 50 T20 और 30 वनडे खेल गए, याद भी नहीं अब किस मैच में क्या हुआ. तो मैं प्रॉब्लम ऑफ इमीडिएट से नहीं सफर करूंगा. आज के मैच में क्या हुआ वो पढ़ाई के बाद देख लूंगा गूगल पे, पता चल जाएगा। पर अगर मैं बॉल बाय बॉल देखता रहूंगा और मैच में इन्वॉल्व रहूंगा तो बाद में ये तकलीफ तो आएगी कि यार पढ़ने का वक्त कैसे निकालूं, पता नहीं चल रहा है। और पढ़ते हुए जब गूगल फीड देख रहा हूं तो इन एनी केस जो पढ़ रहा हूं वो भी 2 दिन बाद भूल जाऊंगा, फिर जाकर टीचर को कहूंगा सर क्या करूं, जो पढ़ता हूं 3 दिन में भूल जाता हूं। आंसर्स तो आपके हाथ में है, that how do you want to define things, because success does need hard work and focus, so it's all about that, you know. I'm sorry for the digression, मैं सुबह सुबह आपको सीरियस नहीं करना चाहता था, लेकिन आपको चाहता था बता दूं ये बात, that this is the whole logic of success, that people who are successful are people who are a little self-centered. selfish word use नहीं कर रहा, self-centered होते हैं, लेकिन you know उनके support system को भी ये बात समझ आ जाती है that this person cannot live without this thing, let him live or her live with this alone. My wife said this to me once. I told her that, you know, I'm missing my students. I was unwell for 2-3 days and I'm missing my students, I'm missing my classroom. She said, yes, I can imagine your students living without you, I can't imagine you living without them, so I would suggest you go to your office and you would get well. And honestly I'm telling you, I came in almost half health and rather I became better. मैं उसके बाद बेहतर होने लग गया। तो ये हमारे साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज हैं कि हमें क्या चीज़ अच्छी लगने लग जाती है। तो ये आपको समझा रहा हूं दैट आप अपने पढ़ाई में वही चीज चार्म ढूंढने लग जाओ, सिर्फ वो मत ढूंढो कि यूपीएससी का ग्लैमर क्या है, क्योंकि आजकल तो रील्स बनने लगे हैं ना, आईपीएस, वो उतरते हैं पीछे से टॉय 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 म्यूजिक बज रहा हो। तो हमें भी लगता था जिस दिन मैं बनूंगा मैं भी उतरूंगा, टॉय 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 म्यूजिक बज, पिक्चरें बनती है सिंघम, तुम मारोगे टप्पा खा के आदमी ऊपर आएगा, ये सब नहीं होने वाला। सो बी रियलिस्टिक, यू आर गोइंग फॉर अ वंडरफुल एग्जाम, ट्राइंग टू क्लियर इट, तो आप उस तरह से डिसिप्लिन हो जाइए। एनीवेज, आपके आज ये 5-7 मिनट का डाइग्रेशन मैंने प्लान नहीं किया था, बट कर लिया इसलिए कि अगर आप मेरी बात समझ जाएंगे, इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू, यू विल बी एबल टू गेट बेटर आउटपुट फ्रॉम व्हाट यू आर डूइंग, बिकॉज आई नो यू आर ऑलरेडी अंडर लॉट ऑफ प्रेशर विद 2-3 क्लासेस हैपनिंग, सो आई एम नॉट एडिंग टू योर प्रेशर, आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू टेल यू अ वे आउट, अ मेथड आउट, यू नो, कि क्या कैसे तुम अपने आप को मोटिवेटेड रख सकते हो, that okay, I'll keep doing it, you know, and this will just go on and it's a matter of couple of years. मेंटल स्टेटस को बना लो ऐसे, 2 साल की बात है, ऐसे चलेगा, और 2-3 घंटे दिन भर में फिर भी मैं निकाल ही सकता हूँ जिसमें मैं खूब मस्ती कर लूंगा, और वो कर लो, काम करते जाओ धीरे धीरे, एंड यू विल सी दैट आफ्टर 2-3 मंथ्स जितनी चिंताएं हैं अभी तुम्हारे मन में, मेरा प्रीलिम्स कैसे हो पाएगा, रिवीजन कब कर पाऊंगा, टेस्ट सीरीज कब लगाऊं, और ये सारे तुम फरवरी में देखना, तुम बस अगले 2 महीने कंसिस्टेंट रहना अपनी पढ़ाई के साथ। By February you will see a lot of your tensions will go away. I'm saying this with a lot of experience of teaching for UPSC. You just keep doing, take my words, and you will see by February you will be in a good spot. अभी भी many of you are in a good spot. मैं आपके पेपर्स देखता रहता हूँ जो आप लोग सबमिट करते हैं वीकली टेस्ट का, मैं चेक नहीं करता हूँ, चेक तो आपके जो हेड्स हैं वो लोग करते हैं, एकेडमिक कोचेज एंड ऑल, मैं देखता रहता हूँ कि वो क्या आप लिख रहे हैं। सो सम ऑफ यू आर एक्चुअली डूइंग वेरी वेल एंड आई फील वेरी प्राउड ऑफ यू कि आप इतने सिस्टम में भी मेहनत करके इतना काम कर रहे हैं। और एक दिक्कत और देखता हूँ जो हर क्लास में वार्निंग देता हूँ, प्रीलिम्स में तुम 100 के 100 अटेम्प्ट नहीं करने वाले, तो यहाँ के टेस्ट में भी 20 के 20 के पीछे क्यों पड़ जाते हो कि नहीं कुछ तो मैं टिक करके प्लीज एक सर्किल मार के आऊंगा, छोड़ दो, take them as something you left, learn how to leave them also. All right, you practice bhi karo, it will help you in your prelims exam. All right, let's see this now. You write the third point, you write disinvestment results in making public sector more transparent, by listing them on stock exchange. I hope you recall this. Fourth point then you write, it helps in creating group of shareholders. It helps in creating group of shareholders who can hold management and workers of public sector responsible for better performance. All right. Then you write another one. It will help in creating wealth for small shareholders as the public sector enterprise grows in value. I'm sure you understand these. These are all repetitions of what I told you while explaining the types of disinvestment. And one more you write. It can provide a signal to the market. Regarding government's choice to exit a sector. All right, so this is for reasons of disinvestment or benefits of disinvestment. Then you write below that challenges of disinvestment or privatization, the problems that might be created due to that. Challenges of disinvestment or privatization. And within these challenges, so we go into that, these are challenges or the problems that might get created of disinvestment or privatization, either of the two. So the first challenge, or I'm doing one thing. In the exam, of course, you will write all the challenges and then write all the solutions if the question is asked. But right now what I'm doing is I'm teaching you the challenges, and then with every challenge I'm teaching you how it can be solved or what steps should be taken to solve it. All right. So you write the first challenge in that. 1. It may result in undervaluation of the company, and create losses for it. All right, undervaluation of the company, and then it creates losses for it. I'll tell you what I mean. And it here is government actually, not the company. All right, सरकार के लिए नुकसान होगा ये. क्या मैं आपको एक example से समझाता हूँ. In 1997, we sold a company called Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited, VSNL. And this Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited was sold to Tata Group. It became Tata Teleservices. This company was sold to Tatas for around 1,600 crore rupees. It was 1,597 crore. So say 1,600 crore rupees it was sold for. And As the company was sold, it was realized that the land that was transferred with VSNL to Tata's alone was worth 2,000 crore rupees. And the spectrum that was transferred, spectrum you understand, airwaves which are used for communication. So the spectrum which was transferred along with VSNL to by VSNL to Tata's was another 1,200 crore rupees. So ideally the company which should have been sold for something like 4,800 crore rupees gets sold to Tata's for 1,600 crore rupees. Now obviously the only set of people happy in it will be Tata's. And the loss is borne by the government. You understand that? So this is undervaluation. This happens, and then there were reasons found. An inquiry was put up, and people tried finding why this happened. So the reason given was, it was said that we sold the company at its book value, whatever was reflected in the account book. So they said we sold it at the book value, and that the book value said this. But VSNL was a public sector, so it got spectrum for free and it got land for free. But when we are privatizing it, we cannot give the same resources for free to the private sector. You understand that? Now there were early days of privatization, of course, and this error was made, but such errors cost the country quite badly. What should be done? We have done that now. In the last few years, the government has started doing it, that whenever we now privatize or disinvest, we get the company valued by investment banking firms. Investment bankers का काम ही यही होता है. There are investment banking companies like Arthur Andersen, KPMG. इनका काम ही होता है valuation, looking after how much is the value during a merger or an acquisition. All right. So this is what should be the solution. So you put within that solution, government should hire, HIRE, hire. Government should hire investment banking firms. Government should hire investment banking firms investment banking firm to find and estimate the correct value of public sector, which can also be made its base value. I'll tell you what I mean by this last line. Many times it is seen in the system that when private companies realize that they are only 2-3 companies trying to buy a public sector, then all of them start reducing the price. All right? कि जब उन्हें पता चलता है हम 2-3 लोग हैं, सब के सब जान के दाम गिराते हैं कि मैं सस्ता खरीद लूंगा. Now if I have a base price, which is found by one of my investment bankers, in a sense I am giving a signal to the market that if you are giving me any price below this base price, I won't be selling it. So that can incentivize them to more properly value the company. In fact, government doesn't divulge this base price to companies. जो भी लोग इंटरेस्ट दिखाते हैं पब्लिक सेक्टर में, उन्हें बताया नहीं जाता कि ये बेस प्राइस क्या है. उन्हें ये कह दिया जाता है that if your bidding is less than base price, then your bid will be automatically rejected. You understand that? That is the rule that we have made now. That if your bidding is less than base price, we are automatically rejecting your bid. And that's a good idea. That if the bidding is less than base price, they should have the fear that I should not try underbidding because I will lose the bid otherwise. And that will incentivize them to bring the true bid. All right. So this is something that we are doing now. That is the advice we will give in our answer sheet. Second point, you write, second. नहीं, सेकंड पॉइंट चैलेंज अब बता रहा हूँ. सॉल्यूशन यही था, अपॉइंटिंग एन इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर और बेस प्राइस फिक्स करना. there are Indian investment banking firms, but they are not as good in their work. So they are growing up at the moment. So let's hope that they do. But it doesn't matter who they are.
So the government hires foreign investment banks
who are functioning in India. Imagine, okay, एक बात सोच के देखिए, आप जब टेल्को की गाड़ी खरीदते हैं तो आप अपने हिसाब से भारतीय गाड़ी खरीद रहे हैं ना, आपको ऐसा ही लगता है? आपने कभी सोचा कि उस गाड़ी में 37% इनपुट जो है वो चाइना से आता है? आपने कभी यह भी नहीं सोचा कि टेल्को के करीब 30% शेयर्स फॉरेनर्स होल्ड करते हैं? इन अ ग्लोबलाइज्ड वर्ल्ड, फॉरेन इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टर्म, दैट हु इज अ फॉरेनर। और Hyundai जो है वो हर साल भारत को कुछ 35 to 40 बिलियन डॉलर अर्न करके देते हैं थ्रू एक्सपोर्ट अर्निंग्स ऑन कार्स मैन्युफैक्चर्ड इन इंडिया एंड एक्सपोर्टेड फ्रॉम इंडिया। That's much more than what Tatas or Mahindras are doing. I'm not saying they are not Indian. Tatas and Mahindras are pretty much Indian. I'm only saying that जब भी एक ग्लोबल वर्ल्ड में तुम इंडियन की बात करो और फॉरेनर की बात करो, बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग टॉक हो जाता है कि कौन कितने इंडियन है और कितने फॉरेनर। ये बड़ा मुश्किल है। आप सोचिए, जितने आराम से अमेरिका ने सत्या नडेला और सुंदर पिचाई को एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, इंडिया में मुझे बहुत शक है कि हम कर पाएंगे। हम अचानक नेशनल सेंटिमेंट, नेशनल सिक्योरिटी इश्यूज एंड ऑल इसकी बात करने लग जाएंगे। वी फील प्राउड, oh look, he's an Indian and he's heading Google, he's an Indian, he's heading Microsoft. But tomorrow if an American comes and heads Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, we will be the ones shouting from the rooftop, हाँ ये कॉलोनियलिज्म है, 100 करोड़ भारतीयों में सरकार को एक भारतीय नहीं मिला। अब पता है ये कितनी बड़ी मूर्खता है। मतलब हम अपने हाथ से अपने पैर पे कुल्हाड़ी मारते हैं कि मैं बेस्ट टैलेंट को नहीं हायर करूंगा, मैं बेस्ट कंपनी को नहीं प्रोड्यूस करने दूंगा अपने देश में। इंपोर्ट्स के खिलाफ तो मैं भी रहता हूं जहां जरूरत नहीं है। Whatever can be produced cheaper in India through structural reforms, and hopefully tomorrow I should be teaching you structural reforms, should be produced in India. But if somebody is producing it in India and I'm calling that somebody foreign, that is a very interesting thing to say. My point is just that. You know कि आप किनको फॉरेन बोल रहे हैं, ये ह्यूमंस को कभी समझ नहीं आ पाता है। ये सोशल सिस्टम में भी ट्रू है और पॉलिटिकल में भी ट्रू है और इकोनॉमिक में भी ट्रू है। That we as humans don't realize what is foreign and what is domestic, but we categorize them on the basis of some XYZ factor. अब सोचिए, जब आप अपने स्टेट में होते हैं तो स्टेट के रीजन के हिसाब से, अच्छा तुम नॉर्दर्न पार्ट से हो, तुम सदर्न पार्ट से हो, तुम ईस्टर्न पार्ट से हो। अभी अगर आप अपने स्टेट से निकलकर दिल्ली आ गए हैं तो सब अपने जैसे लग रहे हैं ना। तुम मेरे स्टेट से हो, आ जाओ, तुम मेरी लैंग्वेज बोलते हो, मेरा खाना खाते हो, मेरे साथ बैठो। तुम अभी बात ही नहीं होती कि तुम किस पार्ट से हो एंड व्हाट पार्ट हैज व्हाट डिफरेंस फ्रॉम विच पार्ट। और आपको देश के बाहर भेज दे तो कह रहे तुम मेरे देश से हो, आओ बैठो मेरे पास। और अगर कॉन्टिनेंट के बाहर भेज दे तो लगेगा मेरे सब कॉन्टिनेंट से हो। तब आपको अचानक पाकिस्तान के लोगों में भी दोस्ती दिखने लगेगी। अरे तुम मेरी तरह बात करते हो, हिंदी समझते हो, आओ इधर आओ बैठो, तुम ही तो दोस्त मिले मुझे। Understand that it goes like that. So foreign, again I repeat, is which set you are living in. So if a company is producing in India, if they are functioning in India, if they are within Indian laws and not violating them, then they are for many practical purposes Indian in nature. Yes, no doubt that they have a foreign head office and it's possible they can transfer their profits to that foreign head office, but they will transfer that profit after paying the tax on it. After having created jobs in India, creating wages for it. After having created rent for Indian landlords. और आप पढ़ ही चुके हैं that wage, rent, interest, profit are the 4 forms of income. तो बस एक पर्सपेक्टिव दे रहा हूं तुम्हें। एक सवाल आपके तरफ से आया, उसको बस बड़ा बना दिया मैंने। दैट एक पर्सपेक्टिव दे रहा हूं कि जब भी ये डिस्कशन हो फॉरेन डोमेस्टिक, इट्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टेक। यू नो, यू गॉट टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट। और थैंकफुली आपकी जनरेशन उसको बदलेगी भी, मुझे इसका उम्मीद भी है। रीजनलिज्म को ले लो, अजीब सी बात लगती है मुझे। यू नो, आई हैव स्पेंट 30 odd years of my life in Delhi, barring 4-5 years when I'd gone to do my PhD, 4 years rather. But अब 30 साल करीब दिल्ली में हो गए मुझे उसके अलावा, तो फिर तो मैं दिल्ली का हो गया. गांव मेरा बिहार में है तो मैं बिहार का हो गया. अर्धांगिनी मेरी बंगाल से है तो मैं बंगाल का हो गया फिर तो. और पढ़ाता पूरे देश के बच्चों को हूं. तो आप सोच के देखिए, अगर मैं तुम्हें ट्रीट करने लगूं, ओ तुम तेलुगु बोलते हो, फिर तुम मेरे स्टूडेंट नहीं रहे. तुम कहोगे ना दिमाग खराब है इसका. अब सोचो जब तुम हंसोगे कि वो वाला स्टेट बेकार कर रहा है, हा हा हा, तो तुम अपने देश पे हंस रहे हो. अब किसका दिमाग खराब है? When you are laughing at your own country, thinking you are laughing at a state. So think like that. Unfortunately हमारे स्कूल में ये बात बता देनी चाहिए, बट हमारे टीचर्स ही कभी कभी मैं देखता हूँ खुद ही लगे रहते हैं, अपने ही किसी पैराडाइम शिफ्ट में. So it's maybe they don't find time to tell us this, but keep it in mind that national, international, it's all getting very blurred in today's globalized system. What is national, what is international becomes, you'll have to do deep research to actually understand what is it exactly. Okay, then you write the second point, but I repeat again, imports को मैं include नहीं कर रहा था इसमें. We should import when we are not producing it. We should import when we cannot efficiently produce it, and somebody can produce it cheaper than me. But if I can produce cheaper by using my resources and changing my rules and regulations, then why not have an expertise in it? You understand that? That should be the aim of countries like India. हमारे जैसे देशों का वो aim होना चाहिए. Yes, yes. No, I'll teach you Air India today. I'll tell you why they had to wait actually. They had brought in some very difficult clauses in that. But if no company is willing to buy at base value, there are only two options. Liquidate the existing firm, sell them in bits and pieces, that is. All right. Or revive the existing firm and give them an autonomy so that they can revive themselves and become profitable. If it's a non-core area, no harm in closing it down. All right, assuming that there are other players supplying the thing. For example, if I'm making motor pumps and others are making motor pumps, and if I close that down, nothing happens, then close it down. You will still save money. All right, you write the second challenge then. You write, it can result in compromising social security of the workers. It can result in compromising social security of the workers. What does social security of the workers imply? A, protection at job. If I am privatizing a public sector, then the level of protection of job might become diluted. All right, that is one social security. Another social security can be, say, the policies like reservation. If I convert from public sector to private sector, then the policies like reservation may not be implemented. Another is policies of promotion, etc. All right. So these things can compromise with workers' security rather than anything else. अब इसमें पहले मैं सेकेंड पार्ट की बात कर लूं. जब भी कोई बोलते हैं पॉलिसी ऑफ रिजर्वेशन, ये इंडिया में एक और नया फार्स निकल के आया है. Farce is something which shows something else and does something else. And as students also never fight among each other on the basis of reservation, nobody is extraordinarily gifted there. I'll tell you why I say that. Total jobs provided by government, including state government jobs, central government job, public sector companies job, is total, again I repeat, is 3.7% of total workforce of India. भारत में 50 करोड़ लोग हैं जो वर्कफोर्स का पार्ट है, और इन 50 करोड़ लोगों में से 2.5 करोड़ लोग भी पब्लिक सेक्टर का पार्ट नहीं है, as in any form, government, state, central or public sector companies. So you can well imagine how much is the capacity of the government to give jobs. So the focus of the youth should be on demanding more entrepreneurship, better quality labor laws, improved rules and regulations, rather than more reservation. It doesn't help you. आप में से कोई अगर ओबीसी है और आपको लगता है कि आप बहुत गिफ्टेड हो गए, आपको कुछ नंबर कम लाने पड़ेंगे, मैं आपको एक नॉर्मल प्रोबेबिलिटी बताता हूं. आज सुबह सुबह बहुत गलत कर रहा हूं वैसे, बट एनीवेज, तो एक नॉर्मल प्रोबेबिलिटी बताता हूं. 27% seats reserved for OBC. That gives you an extra 270 seats in a 1,000 seat notification, with around 1.5 lakh OBC appearing. Check your probability now. 270 upon 1.5 lakh. कोई एक्स्ट्रा गिफ्ट नहीं मिला तुम्हें. होगा फिर भी तभी जब खूब पढ़ोगे. जितने नंबर तुम्हें लाने हैं उससे 20-25 नंबर ज्यादा ले आओ तो जनरल कैटेगरी में भी नौकरी मिल जाती है. 20-25 नंबर 2000 नंबर के एग्जाम में 1% भी नहीं होता ठीक से, या 1% होता है. 1% के फर्क से तुम्हें कोई एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी बेनिफिट नहीं मिल रहा. सुनने में लगता है अरे देखो उसके पास रिजर्वेशन है, मेरे पास नहीं है, उसके चांसेस ज्यादा है. कुछ लोगों को भी लग रहा होता है मेरे चांसेस ज्यादा है. I'm so sorry disturbing you early morning, but believe me, I go by all my calculations. It's still pretty difficult. Otherwise everybody would have been a government servant. Yes, some categories of scheduled caste in India, some categories of OBC in India who have already developed themselves with generations of good background are better off with this reservation policy. Which unfortunately many of us, because of the fear of being branded so-called Brahminical or upper caste, are unwilling to speak about. And some people are taking advantage of that. We should be careful. हमने उसको ठीक करने के लिए क्या किया? एक खराब के लिए दूसरा खराब ले आए. Reservation for economically weaker section. लेकिन नौकरी ही कहाँ है? मेरा सवाल ये नहीं है कि रिजर्वेशन मिलना चाहिए या नहीं मिलना चाहिए, वो तो एक अलग मुद्दा है, डिबेट कर सकते हैं. मेरा सवाल ये है, नौकरी ही नहीं है भाई. कहाँ नौकरी करने जाओगे? जान, मैं तुम्हें क्या दे रहा हूं जो है ही नहीं. आओ तुम्हें 27%, आओ तुम्हें 50%, आओ तुम्हें 10%. क्या दे रहे हैं सर? कुछ है तो नहीं, लेकिन बस मजा आ रहा है बोलने में. तुम भी मजे ले ही रहे हो और बाकी लोग भी लगे हुए हैं, हाँ मुझे दे दो, हाँ मुझे दे दो. क्या दे दो पता ही नहीं, दे दो कुछ ना कुछ मुझे. आप सोच के देखिए, 97% of workforce in India, 96% at least, doesn't work for the government. They are not working under any reservation. You know what I am more thankful to? ऐसे सरकारी पॉलिसी से ज्यादा मैं thankful feel करता हूँ of people in India who have formed Dalit Chamber of Commerce and Industry, DCCI. ये ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट लोग हैं. आपको आश्चर्य होगा, दलित चेंबर ऑफ कॉमर्स एंड इंडस्ट्री कंप्राइजेस ऑफ ऑल दो CEOs एंड CMDs एंड कंपनी ओनर्स हु आर दलित्स फ्रॉम बैकग्राउंड. और ये लोग भारत में 3.5 करोड़ नौकरी क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, सरकार से ज्यादा. और ये लोग अफर्मेटिव एक्शन लेते हैं कि अगर आप दलित बैकग्राउंड से हैं, ओबीसी से हैं, दलित से हैं, और साथ में अगर आपकी अच्छी डिग्री है और आप कमजोर वर्ग से हैं, गरीब हैं, तो आपको ये लोग प्रेफरेंस देके अपने यहां नौकरी देते हैं. ये तो ज्यादा बड़ा काम कर रहे हैं. आपको एक और आश्चर्य होगा, ये मैकलॉय का बर्थडे सेलिब्रेट करते हैं ये लोग. दलित चेंबर ऑफ कॉमर्स एंड इंडस्ट्री सेलिब्रेट्स मैकलॉय's birthday, saying that McAloy was responsible for our upliftment because he brought modern education to India, and it was only that we got modern education that we could break the Brahminical traditions and we are today uplifted, and that has more truth in it. Understand that? तो अगर मुझे सच में अपने दलितों का उत्थान करना है, और मायावती जी दलित नहीं है, 152 करोड़ की संपत्ति वाले लोग दलित नहीं होते. If I am sitting on 152 crores, I am not a Dalit. Please understand that. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है, और ये बोलने के लिए बहुत कभी कभी परेशान भी हो जाते हैं कुछ लोग. वो मेरे टाइटल में मेरा संदर्भ ढूंढने लगते हैं, पूछने लगते हैं कि आपका पूरा नाम क्या है और आपका बैकग्राउंड क्या है, एंड सो ऑन. उनको समझ ही नहीं आता कि एक ह्यूमन नाम का आइडेंटिटी भी होता है जो हम रख सकते हैं अपने पास. बट एनीवेज, मैं ये समझाना चाह रहा हूं दैट इफ वी आर एक्चुअली विलिंग टू अपलिफ्ट आवर दलित्स और आवर बैकवर्ड पीपल, वी विल हैव टू मेक श्योर दैट वी एजुकेट देम वेल, give them good amount of nutrition, and give them opportunities by which they can be empowered rather than remain dependent. तो रिजर्वेशन को, इंडिया के यूथ को तो ऐसे देखना चाहिए, लेकिन मैं जानता हूं आप अपने लाग विभाग और राग द्वेष की वजह से ऐसे नहीं देख पाएंगे बहुत लोग। अब देखिएगा कैसे बाइफरकेटेड है हम लोग। किसी से बात करिए क्या रिजर्वेशन मिलना चाहिए, जिनको मिल रहा है वो कहते हैं हाँ मिलना चाहिए, जिनको नहीं मिल रहा है वो कह रहे हैं नहीं नहीं बिल्कुल नहीं मिलना चाहिए। ये तो तुम अपनी बात कर रहे हो, अपना दुखड़ा पब्लिक प्लेस में रो रहे हो, इसमें रीजन कहां है? आप सोच के देखिए, अगर आप सोच के चलेंगे कि मैं लड़का हूं या लड़की हूं, मैं ब्राह्मण हूं या दलित हूं, मैं हिंदू हूं या मुसलमान हूं, तब तो तुम फंसोगे ही। तब तो तुम उस हिसाब से सोचने लगे, अपने आइडेंटिटी के हिसाब से। कोई ना कोई तुम्हें मूर्ख बनाएगा ही, जिसे कहते हैं आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स। ये बताकर कि मैं तुम्हारे जैसा हूं, तुम्हारे लिए हूं। तो आप कहते हैं अच्छा अच्छा मुझे डेवलपमेंट मत दो, मेरे बच्चे भले ही भूखे रहे, मैं भले ही पुराने ही अपने गांव में पटे पटे पुराने कपड़े में रहूं, लेकिन तुम बात करो मेरे लिए, यही बहुत है। वो करते रहेंगे बात, पिछले 70-75 साल से बातचीत हो तो रही है हमारे देश में। गरीबी हटाओ, 20 सूत्री कार्यक्रम, इंटीग्रेटेड रूरल डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम, जवाहर रोजगार योजना, ट्राइसेम, प्राइसेम, प्राइम मिनिस्टर रोजगार योजना, इतने सारे पढ़ गया हूं मैं कि आपको बता ही नहीं सकता। एक दिन मेरा पूरा रास्ता कट गया, मैंने खुद को चैलेंज दिया दैट डू आई रिमेंबर ऑल द पॉवर्टी एलिविएशन स्कीम्स ऑफ इंडिया। तो मेरे ड्राइवर गाड़ी चलाते हैं ऑफ कोर्स, तो मैं पीछे बैठा हुआ था, आई वाज राइटिंग ऑल दोस स्कीम्स दैट डू आई रिमेंबर ऑल ऑफ देम फ्रॉम 1978 till 2023. I had remembered all of them, and there were close to 94 schemes we have launched since 1978, and still there are 18% people earning below even 1,000 rupees per month in India. What kind of effort is that? Poverty alleviation. उसके नाम पर बहुत सारे गरीब लोग अमीर हो गए, जो एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर बन गए, एक सड़क बनी, साथ में उनका घर भी बन गया। लालू जी ने गरीबी हटाई तो बिहार से अपने परिवार की वो गरीबी हटा दी पूरी तरह बिहार से उन्होंने। लालू जी लालू जी एक्टिंग करते हैं, उस तरह से बात करते हैं। तो लालू जी इज अ पटना यूनिवर्सिटी प्रोडक्ट, and Lalu ji is a lawyer by education, and that also of 1970s Patna University and 60s Patna University, when Patna University had a good enough quality. So Lalu ji acts as the way he acts. He has a very nice education behind him. He is well educated. Understand that. वो तो acting होती है। कोई लीडर बोल देंगे मैं चाय बनाता था, कोई लीडर बोल देंगे मैं पढ़ा लिखा नहीं हूं, कोई लीडर बोल देंगे मैं पढ़ा लिखा ही हूं। ये सब हमें बेवकूफ बनाने की बात होती है, ये समझना है हमें। आप जो मर्जी करते हो, मैं तुम्हें आकर बोलूं मैं क्या बताऊं, मैं बहुत लोअर बैकग्राउंड से ऊपर आया हूं, ये मेरी प्रॉब्लम है, लेकिन मैं कैसा पढ़ाता हूं ये डिसाइड करना चाहिए कि तुम मुझसे पढ़ते हो या नहीं। मैं आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स जरूर प्ले कर सकता हूं। मैं बोलूं अरे पता है क्या, मैं चाहता हूं बिहार का नाम ऊंचा रहे। आप में से जितने लोग बिहार से होंगे आपको लगेगा कि अरे वाह ये सर ने बात की हमारे काम की, और तुम खुद ही बिहार में नहीं रह रहे। उसकी जगह अगर मैं भारत का नाम ऊंचा करूं, साथ में अगर बिहार में कोई अच्छा काम करके सच में दिखा रहा हूं, तब तो वो बात समझ में आती है। तो ये समझिए आप, मैं क्यों आपको ये कहानियां सुना रहा था, फॉर अ रीजन। Reservation is not the way to uplift large masses in India beyond a limit. I'm not saying reservation is irrelevant. Reservation is required. Reservation should be given. India is a poor system, and caste and class still overlap in many places. आज के अखबार में भी समाचार है कि एक पर्सन को सिर्फ इसलिए पीट के मार दिया क्योंकि वो दलित थे और कॉमन प्लेस से पानी ले लिया था उन्होंने। तो अगर आज का भारत ऐसा है तो रिजर्वेशन तो देना ही पड़ेगा, और देना चाहिए भी। सो इट इज नॉट दैट रिजर्वेशन शुड नॉट बी गिवन। What we should decide and discuss is who should be the beneficiaries, what should be the targeting of that reservation, how should we make sure that actual deprived, downtrodden people can be uplifted through that reservation, and that can only be plan one. What are the other plans to uplift those people who may not get a government job, who may still remain deprived? So what kind of entrepreneurship promotion, what kind of training, what kind of social benefits are we going to give those people so that even if they don't get a government job, they can be uplifted? And that is uplifting India, no? आप समझ पा रहे हैं मेरी बात? तो जब भी ऐसी बात हो, आपसे कोई पूछे रिजर्वेशन होना चाहिए या नहीं, होना चाहिए, अफर्मेटिव एक्शन है, उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, there is no problem with that. But again, the better targeting will mean that it will help in uplifting more people, and government's capacity to create job or to give job is limited, but government's capacity to create job by developing entrepreneurship is unlimited. So focus has to be there. ट्रेनिंग पे फोकस होना चाहिए, ये समझाना चाह रहा हूं आपको। अगर ट्रेनिंग पे फोकस होगा तो आप बेहतर कर सकते हैं। I still remember a shock on my friend's face. My grandmother was a master's herself, वो MA किए हुए थे इंग्लिश में। तो मेरे फ्रेंड, मुझे याद है, पढ़ रहे थे हम लोग, 10th में था मैं, हम लोग पढ़ रहे थे, माई ग्रैंड मदर वॉज मूविंग अराउंड एंड वी वर स्टक अप ऑन अ सॉल्यूशन इन इंग्लिश। एक ग्रामर का सेक्शन आता था तो हम प्रिपोजिशन लेके लड़ रहे थे आपस में। शी केम नॉन चैलेंटली एंड सेड, लुक, दिस शुड बी द प्रिपोजिशन यूज्ड, एंड शी टोल्ड अस द प्रॉपर रीजन व्हाई इट शुड बी यूज्ड। फॉर नेक्स्ट 2-3 मिनट्स माई फ्रेंड कुड नॉट स्पीक, क्योंकि उन्होंने एक्सपेक्ट किया था कि ये तो अपना बेचारे सूती साड़ी पहन के घूम रहे हैं घर में, पढ़े लिखे नहीं होंगे, बूढ़े हैं, तो वो पढ़ाई का पावर है, ये आपको बताना चाह रहा हूं कि जो पढ़ाई आप कर लिए, अगर करवा दिए लोगों को ठीक से, तो वो पावरफुल बनाता है। लेकिन पढ़ाई अकेला पावरफुल नहीं बना सकता। एजुकेशन अलोन कैनॉट मेक यू पावरफुल अनलेस यू डोंट रेप्लिकेट दैट एजुकेशन इनटू अ फ्रूटफुल एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटी। So that is the next step to getting empowered. So good education combined with good employment opportunity is what is needed to uplift people. All of us may not be lucky to get a government job. That should not mean end of the road for everyone. I hope you are getting the point concerned. All right. Then we take it further. You write within this, so what can be the vulnerable group? समझना ये बात आप। अब दूसरी बात पे आ रहा हूँ, job loss. All right, that what if private company comes in and removes the workers? अब इसमें भी एक दो बातें समझना आप। पहली बात, when you will privatize a company, the private company will not remove everyone from the job. Otherwise, how will they function? So what they will do, suppose if Air India is privatized and if Air India has 10,000 workers, then maybe there is a danger on 2,000 workers. The 20% workers might be removed. Who will be these workers? Who faces this danger? This danger is faced, number one, by those who are in their last 10-12 years of employment. जो अपने आखिरी 10-12 साल में है। क्यों इन पर ये खतरा है जो आखिरी 10-12 साल में है? Because whatever job they are doing, they are 45 plus, 50 plus people, whatever job they are doing, ranging from drivers, helps, cooks, to managers, senior managers, they will be in the top pay scale of their group, because they have been working for the company for 20-25 years. Now the private company might find it convenient to remove these people and replace them by younger ones. You understand that? So that creates problem one, that these people are in trouble, those who are working for long and might be in their last 8-10 years. The second vulnerable group of people are those who can be replaced by machines. For example, clerks, cooks, driver, helper, peon, they can be replaced by machines. इनकी जगह कोई मशीन काम कर देगा। तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर ओनर को क्या लगेगा? Who takes the headache of a worker? Let's get the machine to do my work. It will be easier in the longer run. They become vulnerable. And the third vulnerable group of workers will be those, as I was just telling you, who might have been selected on one basis of reservation or the other, because their whole promotional avenues and their whole possibility of getting employment and the facilities might change. So we need to make sure that workers don't feel vulnerable when we are privatizing. How do we make sure about it? There can be three solutions, a combination, not individually, but a combination. Number one, give the workers an opportunity of taking voluntary retirement, hefty voluntary retirement scheme, something like we will give you 10 years of salary altogether along with your provident fund contribution if you take retirement today. Many workers can find it incentivizing. They might be already 48, 50, 52 and you're giving them 10 years salary and you're giving them a hefty provident fund contribution and all. So they might feel, okay, I can take break from this institution, I can get job somewhere else, and I will get a lot of money also along with it. In case you feel, sir, where does this happen? It has already started happening in Air India, where many workers have taken voluntary retirement and are joining Indigo and other airlines. It has also happened in BSNL. When government offered voluntary retirement, they took voluntary retirement and joined Jio and Airtel. So these things have happened and are happening. So this is one. The second option along with that is rehabilitation. Those workers who say, no, I don't want to retire, I want to work. But they can be rehabilitated in some other company. Public sector company. Again, this can help the clerks, drivers, helpers more, because these jobs are non-specialized jobs. So with non-specialized jobs, the shifts can be easier. You can do that. And the third is negotiating with the private company that they cannot remove the worker for a given period of time. We did this with Air India. In case of privatization of Air India, the government negotiated that no worker can be removed for 12 months after the company has been transferred to Tata's. So the company was transferred to Tata's in January 22, and they could not have then removed any worker till January 23. What did Tata's do then? Or what will any company do? Two options. Either they give workers a very nice voluntary retirement scheme so that they can get incentivized, which also happens. But two, which happens more generally, is they realize that I cannot fire them, so I cannot keep them useless. So what they start doing is retraining the workers to make them useful and then incorporate them in the company. In case of Balco, we found a very interesting thing. By we, I mean me and my research team at MIT. What we found as a very interesting thing was, in Bharat Aluminium Company, it was privatized in 2004, and this was a clause that you cannot remove any worker for 4 years. So nobody could be removed till 2008. What the company started doing was retraining the workers, and after retraining, 73 workers left the company because they got better salary from another company. So even that starts happening. But this is again something where you need to create competition also, ease of doing business. That there should be competition so that workers don't feel that they will not have a job if they leave X place today. And employers feel that, okay, I cannot remove my worker. And along with competition, there should be good labor laws to protect the worker from any summary dismissal. So if this can be done, see, permanent job is not the requirement. It's a temporary life. Permanent नौकरी की जरूरत नहीं है, secured नौकरी की जरूरत है. So workers have to be secured rather than permanent. Always have that feature in your mind. I hope we are clear on this. I'm making you write few things. You write solutions then. No, the private players don't know the base price. Rakshit, I'm answering your question. Right, Vitan, I see you now. And good morning to all of you who joined me late and mentioned it. Thank you. Okay. Let's see this. You write within this, then, solution. The workers can be provided. The workers can be provided with a combination of voluntary retirement scheme, rehabilitation to other firms, rehabilitation, rehabilitation, rehabilitation to other firms, and negotiating a clause with private buyer that no worker will be removed. No worker will be removed up to a given time period. No worker will be removed up to a given time period. Okay, I have a question online that if such heavy costs like expensive severance packages, etc., are imposed on the private entity, won't it discourage them to bid for the PSU? It's possible, but you need to protect your workers to make sure that see, if you privatize and your workers are dissatisfied, in any case, efficiency is not solved. So it's important to have a balance and make sure that your workers are taken into confidence, and the private players do gain quite a bit from the balance that they make. Also, the government can give them some discount or some offer with respect to the purchase price of public sector to internalize these costs. So these things can be given. They can be given a 3-year tax benefit and so on. So it's a possibility that this can be done. Otherwise, what we have seen till now in India, that private players have not shied away from accepting these norms. They have not yet shown any kind of disgruntlement. Always remember, you need to control the government so that it doesn't become dictatorial, and you need to control the capitalists so that they don't become too greedy for comfort of the system. You need to take a balance in that. If you allow all freedom to the private sector, then there can be an equal issue as compared to all freedom to the government, which can be an equal issue. So that is why you need, I've kept saying it, I'll say it once more, you need transparency in the government and you need competition in the market. If you create these two things, you have an efficient economic system. If government is transparent, government officers will know that if I take a wrong decision, I'll be caught out. And that can deter them from taking wrong decisions. And if market is competitive, the private sector will know that if I try shortchanging my consumer, somebody will come and remove me from the system. So you need to make these two things happen. All right, market competitive means workers will be paid well, consumers will be charged less, profits will be squeezed down. आप कितना भी कानून बना लीजिए, आप प्रॉफिट को कम नहीं कर पाएंगे, लेकिन अगर आप कंपटीशन ले आइए तो लोगों को इंसेंटिवाइज करेंगे कि अच्छा थोड़ा कम प्रॉफिट कमा लेता हूं, लेकिन कंज्यूमर्स मेरे पास रहने चाहिए. So bring competition, that's very important. And competition comes by ease of doing business, by improving upon legislations and so on. Encouraging innovation in the market, that brings competition. I have no means to criticize them, but believe me, after Next IAS got created, I see some nice changes that earlier I was also suggesting in the previous institute I used to teach in. मैं पहले भी उनको बोलता था कि ये काम हम कर लें तो ये स्टूडेंट सेंटर्ड होगा, स्टूडेंट को बेनिफिट मिलेगा, तो उस वक्त नहीं उतना सुन पाते थे बात. जैसे नेक्स्ट आईएएस क्रिएट हो गया या और भी कुछ इंस्टीट्यूट्स आने लग गए, मैं देखता हूँ अब सब लोग कॉन्शियस हो गए कि नहीं, कुछ स्टूडेंट सेंटर्ड बात होनी चाहिए. यही जरूरी है. That is what is important, that we need to make sure. इसमें फ्लाई बाय नाइट ऑपरेटर्स भी कुछ आएंगे, उसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है. When you make the market competitive, some people come in who can be fly by night. No doubt, fly by night होते हैं जो एक दिन आएंगे बोलेंगे अरे देखो मैं तो फ्री में तुम्हें चीजें दे दूंगा. Then gradually, they will find it difficult to sustain themselves. Then the real things start coming in. For example, you see things, tech companies used to claim that very often, but look at what even YouTube is doing today. Either you take subscription, and if you don't take subscription, we will show you half-a-minute advertisement. So there is no free lunch. Nothing can be free in this system. Many people for very long used to think tech will make it free. And I remember last 13 years at least I have been saying it, tech won't make it. अभी जब YouTube ने ये काम किया तो मैं एक बहुत अच्छा बेट जीत गया. यार YouTube आते वक्त ये बेट लगा था हम लोगों में. मैंने 20 साल का होराइजन लिया था. YouTube तो 12 साल में ही काम कर गए, 13 साल में ही. मैंने यही कहा था, मैंने कहा let us see how long they can give this for free. Let's wait and watch. That how long will this remain free? तो मेरे दोस्त थे वो ब्रिटेन के हैं, उनको लगा नहीं मैं एक इंडियन स्केप्टिकल हूँ, सोशलिस्ट. उन्होंने इसी नाम से बुलाया था मुझे. You guys are skeptical because of socialist background that you have. Look, tech will make things free. We're seeing how much they can make it free. How do you sell something for free? And I had given him a reason why 20 years. And I'm happy I was proven wrong. I won my bet earlier, got some decent money from him. You know, but I'll tell you why I had said that. Initial 10 years or 20 years I had thought, but initial years the business model was selling my data. So you made money selling my data. You asked me to download your app and took all sorts of permissions from me, which gave you access to tremendous amount of data. You sold my data, made money, you didn't need to charge me anything. But gradually there were many companies who were having this data. So the price of data comes down. And as the price of data comes down, now to remain sustainable, what do? You have to charge a money or put a value on that. So understand this. फ्री चीजें नहीं हो सकती. हाँ, ये जरूर हो सकता है कि टेक्नोलॉजी को एक फायदा है, जैसे जब आप अमेज़न से चीजें मंगाते हो, उन्हें एक शॉप चलाने का किराया नहीं देना पड़ता. Then that rental cost they save, and due to that they can sell at a relatively cheaper rate than what a brick and mortar shop can sell to you. You understand that? So that is a possibility by tech, but free is a very strong word. Free doesn't go. और नतीजा क्या होगा? जैसे ये रेंट पे लेना लोग कम करेंगे चीजों को, रेंटल्स नीचे आने लग जाएंगे. ये अगले 10-20 साल की बात आपको बता रहा हूं, और धीरे धीरे सब स्मूदन आउट हो जाएगा. हाँ, जो लोग रेंटल इनकम पे डिपेंडेंट हैं, उनको अपने जीवन में कुछ और सोच लेना चाहिए. This is the last generation, according to me, which can survive on rental income in urban areas. Rural areas, it might continue for a few more years, but this is the last generation surviving on a rental income in urban areas. Gradually, the rents will rather come down than going up. आप आज ही सोच के देखिए, हाउसिंग प्राइस का 2% रेंट रह गया है ना अब तो. एक समय था जब ये 6-7% था. मैं आपको एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ क्या बोल रहा हूँ. एक घर एक करोल बाग जैसे एरिया में से 2 bedroom house is sold for 1 crore 20 lakh rupees, while it is available on rent for 20-30,000 rupees in spite of high student population. अगर स्टूडेंट पॉपुलेशन हटा देते हैं हम यहां से, तो फिर यही हाउस के वैल्यू और कम हो जाएगी. रेंटल कॉस्ट समझाना ये चाह रहा हूं that rentals have come down already to 2.5% of the house value, and that is called minimizing of rent. कि 1 करोड़ का इन्वेस्टमेंट करूं, पहले घर खरीदूं, और उस घर से मिला क्या 20,000 रुपए महीने का, तो 2,40,000 रुपए साल का, 25,000 रुपए महीने भी तो 3 लाख रुपए साल का, 3% रिटर्न. सेविंग्स बैंक अकाउंट इससे ज्यादा दे रहा है कोटक महिंद्रा में. और घर को बनाने का खर्चा, उसको मेंटेनेंस का खर्चा, ये सारे आपके लग रहे हैं. सो अंडरस्टैंड दिस, that the world is changing, technology is changing it, but we have to be careful about knowing how it is changing, and that is what knowledge and education do, that they allow you to predict, okay, this is the direction which we are taking, and this is the direction we can take due to that. So this is the aspect. So I can believe you'll keep this in mind. Regarding tech, I will teach you the impact of artificial intelligence and so on economy, but this you just keep in mind for the time being. Okay. Then you write the third challenge of disinvestment. Third challenge. The proceeds of disinvestment. Proceed का मतलब पैसा. The proceeds of disinvestment may be misutilized on populism than creating developmental expenditure. That's another danger we have. Money comes through disinvestment. It can be easy money. Now you cannot distinguish about where is this money being spent, and that money can then be spent on pleasing people through electoral promises and all, rather than making any real difference in their life. How do we stop this? So we stop this through a solution. You write below that. All the proceeds from disinvestment should mandatorily go to National Infrastructure Investment Fund, National Infrastructure Investment Fund, so that they can be used for infrastructure development only. Infrastructure development only. And when I say infrastructure, it can mean road, it can mean electricity generation, it can mean communication, it can mean housing, it can mean sanitation. Any of this can be brought under infrastructure, and this money can be spent on that. Why? Because when I'm disinvesting as a government, I'm selling an asset. If I am selling an asset, I should replace it by another asset. You understand that? If I'm selling my assets and I'm not replacing them by other assets, if I'm selling my asset and I'm not replacing them by other assets, I'm compromising on my future production capacity. It's like selling utensils to watch a movie, no? One day the utensils will get over. So you can't do that. इसीलिए सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी जी के कुछ सलाह को नहीं मानेंगे. मैंने उनको करीब 20 साल पहले सीरियसली लेना छोड़ दिया था. आप अब कर ले कम से कम. उनका कभी कभी अखबार में आर्टिकल आता है सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी जी का, वी शुड रिमूव टैक्सेस फ्रॉम इंडिया and we can use the money from disinvestment, and we can use the money from spectrum allocation, and that money can be used to run for people. It doesn't help like that. Taxes, direct tax, income tax and all are important because they create progressive taxation. You tax the rich more and that money can be used to help the poor. More importantly, direct taxes like income tax and corporate tax comprise 15 lakh crore today in India. 15 लाख करोड़ रुपए डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट से लेकर आएंगे कितने दिनों तक? और सारे रिकॉर्ड छोड़ दें फिर कि कौन कितना कमाता है, किसकी कितनी टैक्सेबल इनकम है. ये सारे रिकॉर्ड्स भी तो हैं हमारे पास आज. इफ वी डोंट कलेक्ट टैक्सेस वी आर लूजिंग ऑल दिस रिकॉर्ड. You know, and you can't get 15 lakh crore per annum increasing every year, but even 15 lakh crore per annum simply by removing. He says that if you remove this tax, people will consume more and that will give economy a big boost. What's the boost required if that money is used by the rich for themselves and doesn't necessarily reach the poor? Because there is a big gap between what the rich consume and what the poor sell. Rich will be buying branded clothes. The best help it can give the poor is that maybe some small scale industry might be supplying buttons to that clothes. You know, or maybe the stitches. That should not be the only way to help the poor. Rich have enough money to pay. आप एक मिनट के लिए एग्जाम्पल ले लीजिए कि अगर मेरी इनकम 12-13 करोड़ रुपए साल की है, एग्जाम्पल बोल रहा हूँ, alright? तो अगर मैं एक एग्जाम्पल ले लूँ कि मेरी इनकम 12 करोड़ रुपए साल की भी है, तो भी सारे खर्चे के बाद टैक्स देकर 3 करोड़ रुपए का टैक्स ऑब्लिगेशन मेरे ऊपर आएगा, जो भारत में अलाउड है. तो भी 9 करोड़ रुपए बचेंगे मेरे पास. 75 लाख रुपए महीना. करूंगा क्या इतने पैसे का? लोग आपत्ति दिखाते रहते हैं 3-3.5 करोड़ रुपए टैक्स देने में, जब वो 1 करोड़ रुपए महीना कमा रहे हैं. इट मेक्स नो सेंस दैट पीपल शुड डू दैट. प्लीज डोंट गेस माई इनकम. मनी मन चल रहा है, होगा जरूर, इसीलिए बोला इसने. जाने दो, आप मेरे इनकम की चिंता मत करो. इंपॉर्टेंट कितनी भी किसी की इनकम हो, एक दिन ऊपर ही जाएंगे. इंपॉर्टेंट ये है समझना दैट जो रिच हैं इंडिया के, जो सुपर रिच हैं स्पेशली, दे शुड नॉट फील वेरी बॉदर्ड पेइंग अ 35% टैक्स. दे हैव इनफ मनी इन द पॉकेट इवन आफ्टर पेइंग द टैक्स. It's only training. Why should I pay? You know, so that is the point I'm again driving home. Okay, then you write below that. Now it is not a challenge. I'm giving you the government efforts on that. You write in April 2016. In April 2016. Government established Department of Investment. Government established Department of Investment and public asset management. Public asset management. In a bracket you write DIPAM, DIPAM. Close the bracket. DIPAM. Replacing Disinvestment Commission. Full stop. The objectives of DIPAM are first, to coordinate the assets of public sector institutions for more efficient development planning. Okay, I'll tell you what I mean by this line. Suppose if there is a land available with Port Authority of India Limited, and suppose that land is needed by National Highway Authority of India Limited to make a national highway through that region. DIPAM will make sure that the files don't take years to move from one office to another. It has happened in the past in India. In 2010, a file was sent to Port Authority of India Limited, where the National Highway Authority of India Limited needed clearance to make a national highway through a region where the land was owned by Port Authority. And for 4 years, the clearance was not received. And it was only an ego war between the chairman at Port Authority of India Limited, who was an IAS officer, slightly senior to the chairman at National Highway Authority of India Limited. And the turf war was whether the Port Authority of India Limited will send the file to them after signing it and clearing them, or the NHAI person will come and collect it. ये झगड़ा चल रहा था. And due to that, they were putting one objection after another, and they were not sending the file. Mr. Gadkari is on record giving this story on a television interview. He said that when I became the minister and I got to know that this is the problem, he said I called both of them to my Delhi office, locked them in one of the rooms, and said, you sort out your differences, only then the room will be opened up, even food will not be given till then. And he said then after 20-25 minutes, they had all sorted their differences, and the file was then delivered within a day. This is so ridiculous, no, when you hear such stories. So this is the challenge that at times happens. So now we have an organization called DIPAM, which will make sure that nobody's ego gets bruised, and DIPAM will coordinate it. That okay, you have the file, you have to give it to them, and you have to get the file, and the things can go smoothly. All right, that is purpose one. 2, you write objective. Second, it will suggest the government regarding processes required to revive loss-making public sector, and make them more competitive. Make them more competitive. And then third, you write, it will give suggestions. It will give suggestions regarding disinvestment, including privatization including privatization of public sector firms on the basis of their importance in achieving social and economic goals of the nation. All right, so keep it as that. In conclusion, please keep this in mind now. If somebody asks us, what should we do about public sector? Should we privatize all of them? No. Should we privatize none of them? No. Then what should we do about it? The answer is, take a case-by-case approach. Make sure that whichever public sector is in the core area, strategic area, they should not be privatized. Rather, efforts should be made to revive them and make them efficient, and more autonomy should be given to them so that they can remain outside the control of the ministries. This part is clear to us? That is one thing to keep in mind. Another, but if a public sector is in the non-core, non-strategic area, then it should be privatized, because it is otherwise unnecessarily taking government's resources, even if it is making profit. If it is making loss, it's a double trouble. But even if it is making profit, it's an unnecessary use of government resource, because government is not there to make profit. Profit is a very, again, interesting word. It's the rate of return which is important. Okay, I'll tell you what I mean by that. Suppose I am your public sector, you are my government. You invested 100 rupees in me. Next year you come to me. You say, sir, did you make profit? I say, yes. Sir, my return, I give you 1 rupee. You say, sir, 1 rupee? Yes, I made 1% profit. Next year you come to me again. Sir, did you make profit? Yes. Sir, my return, I give you 2 rupees. I made 2% profit. And now you can have a newspaper headline, public sector profit rises by 100%. But it's not helping anyone. 1% return, 2% return. I'm hardly efficient. Then I again make you invest another 10 rupees in me. Then I give you again 2 rupees, 1 rupee. After 7, 8, 10 years, you say, sir, it's not working out. You are giving me very low returns and you are in a non-core area. So I think we should close you down. And then you can again have a newspaper headline saying government chooses to privatize a profit-making enterprise. So it's not profit which is important. What is important is what rate of return am I giving you, and is it justified then to run that enterprise? So an average rate of return should at least be the borrowing rate of the government. अगर मैं सरकार हूं और मार्केट से 6-7%, 8% पे बोरो कर रहा हूं और आप में पैसे लगा रहा हूं, तो कम से कम इतना तो कमा के देंगे आप मुझे। और मैं आप में 8% पे पैसे लगा रहा हूं, आप मुझे 2% कमा के दे रहे हैं, और अब प्रोड्यूस क्या कर रहे हैं? तो स्कूटर। अगर प्रॉफिट कमा रहे हैं तो भी, लॉस में चल रहे हैं तब तो कोई बात ही नहीं है। अब प्रोड्यूस क्या कर रहे हैं? मोटर पंप। अब चला क्या रहे हैं? होटल। Then what's the point running you? So understand it like that. Yes, if it is a petroleum company, if it is a road development company, if it is education, healthcare, if it is nuclear energy, if it is space research, if it is telecommunication, one can still understand that you need public sector for meeting government programs. Other places, it becomes a little dicey. You understand that? Okay. Then you give a heading now. You write National Asset Monetization Policy. I'm going to teach you what is meant by monetization of asset. National Asset Monetization Policy. The government calls it National Asset Monetization Pipeline. पाइपलाइन वर्ड जब भी देखो तो समझ जाओ सिंगल सोर्स फॉर multiple channels of inflow of funds. Single source for multiple channels of inflow of funds. That is called a pipeline. Okay. Now when we talk about this National Asset Monetization Pipeline, we will keep calling it NAMP. मैं आपको इसमें भी एक critical analysis लिखवा दूंगा अभी. What is NAMP? What are its benefits? What are its challenges? All right, and then the way forward. So we will again take it as that. Understand it like this. First of all, whenever you hear this word asset monetization, it means you are not selling your asset, you are leasing it out. All right, leasing out means जैसे किराए पे देते हैं. You have kind of rented it for a very long period, something like 20 years, 25 years. So suppose if there is a public road, or there is an airport, or there is a port, or there is railway station, or there is public stadium, or there is oil and natural gas pipeline, and so on, electricity generation unit. If the government chooses that we will use this public asset, we will lease it out to a private sector, and it will be up to private sector to run this asset, manage it, earn money out of it, and pay the part of that money to the government as lease payment. That is called asset monetization policy. In this case, the ownership right on the asset always remains with the government. प्राइवेट सेक्टर डजंट गेट द ओनरशिप राइट. उस असेट के मालिकाना हकदार सरकार ही होंगे. गवर्नमेंट विल ऑलवेज हैव द ओनरशिप राइट, प्राइवेट सेक्टर विल नेवर हैव द ओनरशिप राइट. इसीलिए जब लोग कहते हैं 6 एयरपोर्ट अदानी को बेच दिया, ये बहुत ही अनएजुकेटेड स्टेटमेंट है. आज के बाद, अगर आज तक आप देते भी थे तो आज के बाद नहीं देंगे, नहीं तो आपका नाम भी खराब होगा, मेरा तो होगा ही साथ में कि कैसी इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ाते हैं ये. और अगर आप देते रहेंगे तो मैं ऐसे आपको पकड़ूंगा, साथ में बातचीत करते जाऊंगा और यही फर्स्ट फ्लोर से नीचे धक्का दे दूंगा ठीक है, तो ताकि आपकी भी इज्जत बची रहे और मेरी भी बची रहे. पर एनीवेज, और ज्यादा दिक्कत देखिए तो धक्का देके ऊपर आपके ऊपर कूदूंगा भी अपने पूरे मोटापे के साथ. एनीवेज, सो जोक्स अपार्ट, मैं ऐसा नहीं करूंगा, आप जानते हैं, but jokes apart, what I'm trying to tell you is it is very uneducated when we mix up monetization with privatization. Monetization simply means that I'm leasing out the asset, I'll get it back after a point of time. Indian government has been monetizing assets since 1990s. It is not a new thing. The new thing in this is the large scale of monetization. We would monetize assets worth 2,000 crore, 1,500 crore, 3,000 crore. Now we plan to monetize assets worth 6 lakh crore. So the scale is huge. But monetization is not a new thing to India. एक बहुत ही सिंपल वर्ड में बोलूं तो इसका एक फॉर्म, मोनेटाइजेशन का एक ही फॉर्म नहीं होता, बहुत सारे फॉर्म होते हैं. बट वन फॉर्म ऑफ मोनेटाइजेशन यू गाइज हैव बीन रीडिंग अबाउट फॉर सम टाइम, कॉल्ड पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप्स. That's monetization of government asset. I will give you to construct a road. You construct the road for me. You take the toll charges on that road, and you will run the road. You will maintain and repair the road. I have monetized my asset. Take a railway land. If there is a railway land on which nothing is happening, then I lease it out for say 40 years or 30 years. Now over those 30 years, some private developer will develop the land. The private developer will allow people to set up shops on that land. They will set up shops and give money to the private developer. The developer will give a part of the money to the government. And after 30 years, when the lease time period goes away, then the government will be the owner of the land. And the private developers can pay rent to the government. Or if there is a new developer, they can pay money to the government. But otherwise, what was happening to this railway land? It was lying unoccupied, resulting in all sorts of illegal activities on it, encroachment activities on it. So understand that. That is the idea. I monetize an airport. Why do I do that? I don't have the capability to make so much investment by which the airport can be modernized. I monetize it. I give it to someone. I tell them, you modernize it. You develop a big airport. On that, you can set up shops. On that, you can let flights land and fly. We will regulate you, but you take money from the flight operators, you take money from the shopkeepers. Whatever is the footfall on the airport will allow you to get more revenue. Whatever profit you are making, part of it will be mine as a leased part of that airport. And I have leased this airport to you for 20 years, 22 years, 25 years. You recover your money by selling all these things. After 20 years, your money is recovered. Now you can leave and the airport belongs to me. If I want, I can give it to somebody else also for the purpose of maintenance, operation and all. If I don't want, I'll keep it to myself. I here is government. But you know what does it do? It allows better quality airports like say IGI, you know, the Indira Gandhi International Airport, or the Rajiv Gandhi International Airport in Hyderabad, or the Netaji Subhash Airport in Kolkata. These airports, before monetization and after monetization, I am a witness to it. And in some of them, you can be a witness to it. That the difference that gets created. Some people say, oh no, these guys will control all the resources, in spite of having an airport authority of India. अगर अडानी एयरपोर्ट अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया से बड़े हो गए, तो हमारे कानून में कुछ गड़बड़ी है. Then our law is flawed. We should understand that. एक और बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग बात मैं सुनता हूं. प्राइवेट सेक्टर जो है वो करप्शन कर लेगा, प्रॉफिट ओरिएंटेड हो जाएगा, इसीलिए सरकार को चलाना चाहिए. ठीक है, प्राइवेट सेक्टर करप्शन कैसे कर सकता है बिना सरकार की सहायता के? How can private sector do corruption without a government helping it? And if the government helps the private sector in corruption, I am expecting the same corrupt government to give me a very good service if they run the public sector. What kind of thought contradiction is that? कि आप प्राइवेट सेक्टर के साथ तो मिलकर करप्शन करेंगे, मैं प्राइवेट सेक्टर हटा देता हूं, सिर्फ पब्लिक सेक्टर चलने देते हैं, अब करप्शन नहीं होगा. जो करप्ट है वो उसमें करप्शन करेंगे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स देने में, जैसे रेलवे में होता है. रेलवे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मिलने का मतलब ही है कि आप अपने एरिया के बाहुबली हैं. ये बेसिक आइडिया है that you must be very close to the political system. That is why you are getting all those road contracts and rail contracts. Otherwise you don't get it. रोड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में तो फिर भी अब काफी हद तक ये कंट्रोल में आया है, रेल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में तो आज भी जबरदस्त है. That you get it on that basis. That is not pro people. So we have to understand that sometimes these things create more transparency. People will report if wrong things are happening. In an earlier system, people wouldn't even report. The corruption जो होता था उसकी रिपोर्टिंग तक नहीं होती थी. So in that case, monetize. एक बात और मैं आपको बताना भूल गया, मैं बता देता हूँ वैसे. पिछले 9 years में, in the last 9 years, only 2 companies have been privatized in India: Air India and नीलांचल इस्पात. ये जो इतना हंगामा है ना, सब कुछ बेच दिया, सब बेच रहे हैं, देश बिक रहा है, प्राइवेटाइज कर दिया. मजे की बात है, सरकार भी बोल रही है हाँ मैं बेच रहा हूं. कोई रोक के पूछ नहीं रहा that भाई बेचे क्या, ये बताओ. लास्ट 9 years व्हाट डिड यू सेल? सब अपना दौड़े जा रहे, बेच दिया, रोक के क्या बेचा? अरे बेचा भाई बेचा, चलो. रेलवे स्टेशन बेच दिया, एयरपोर्ट बेच दिया, पोर्ट्स बेच दिया. बेचा नहीं, उनको मोनेटाइज किया है. They have not been sold. There is a huge difference between the two. बेचने की अगर बात करें, that how many public sector companies have been sold by the government, it is only Air India and Neelanchal Ispat. Neelanchal Ispat was sold to Tisco and Air India was sold to Telasek, a Tata company, which I will teach you about. But these are the only 2 privatizations that the government has done in the last 9 years of their governance. NDA government की बात कर रहा हूँ. UPA government privatized nothing in India between 2004 to 2014. They did not privatize anything. I'm trying to clear a concept where your generation thinks a lot of things have been privatized in India after 91. Last 17 years now, 19 years, we have privatized 2 companies in India. The biggest privatizer was Vajpayee ji's government, NDA-1. They privatized around 19 companies in India, 19 companies in those 6 years. Narasimha Rao ji's government privatized approximately 7 companies in their 5 years. total companies privatized in India in the last 32 years after liberalization policy has been 28 out of more than 1800 public sector enterprises. लेकिन सोचिए पब्लिक डोमेन में कैसी हलचल है, सब कुछ बिक रहा है. दिस इज कॉल्ड परसेप्शन. और सोचिए आप पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं तब आप ऐसा सोच रहे हैं, जो नहीं पढ़े लिखे हैं उनके साथ तो और खतरनाक बात है. मेरी गाड़ी चलाते थे पहले, आजकल तो मेरे वाइफ की गाड़ी चलाते हैं. उन्होंने बोला एक दिन कि सर मोदी जी सुना पूरा देश बेच रहे हैं. मैंने कहा तुम तो बोलो भी मत, तुम्हारा नाम मुबारक शाह है. लेकिन सोचिए कुछ भी बोल दिया लोगों ने जाके, मोदी जी पूरा देश बेच रहे हैं, और लोग हंगामा मचा रहे हैं पूरा देश बिक रहा है, और बिका कुछ है ही नहीं. So we got to understand that we are not selling much at the moment, which is a sorry part. Ideally, we should have sold many more public sector enterprises because of the reasons I told you. Scooters India, as I keep saying, you know. स्कूटर्स इंडिया को तो बिकवा के मारूंगा. बट एनीवेज, तो वो बेच देना बहुत जरूरी है, हम नहीं बेच रहे हैं. हाँ, मोनेटाइज किया हमने खूब सारा पिछले 2-3 साल में. We have monetized a lot, but monetization has its reasons. So I'll take you into that. Now, first I'm giving you a definition, and then we will discuss the benefits and challenges. So you write in this, government announced national asset monetization pipeline. National asset monetization pipeline in 2020-21 फाइनेंशियल ईयर की बात कर रहा हूं, 2020-21. In 2020-21, under Atmanirbhar Bharat announcements, full stop. Under NAMP, government plans to lease out public assets like land, as I gave you, say railway land or some public sector's land, that is for land. So like land, electricity generation units, electricity distribution companies, I can believe you understand the difference. Generation units are those who produce electricity. Distribution companies are those who take it to the consumer. All right, so that is generation units and distribution companies, roads, railway, airport, port. When I said railway, you write railway platforms. उसको एक थोड़ा complete कर लेना. Railway platforms, airport, port, public stadium, public warehouses. Warehouses, I can believe you understand. Storage houses, public warehouses, and oil and gas pipelines. oil and gas pipelines to the private sector comma for a given period of time and the private sector will provide monetary compensation to the government. Then you okay, so I can believe you understand the point here. Then you write below that benefits of NAMP.
वंदे भारत इसके अंदर आते हैं।
हाँ, वंदे भारत की कुछ ट्रेन इसमें आती हैं, सारी नहीं। नहीं, रेलवे रूट्स रेलवे प्लेटफॉर्म के साथ इंक्लूड करके दिए जा रहे हैं, ठीक है, लेकिन कुछ ही ट्रेन्स हैं। जब रेलवे पढ़ाऊंगा तुम्हें तो ये बात बता दूंगा। वहाँ रेलवे रूट्स के नाम पर दो ही तरह की चीज़ें जा रही हैं अभी, एक वंदे भारत के कुछ रूट्स और दूसरे भारत गर्व ट्रेन्स, ठीक है। भारत गर्व ट्रेन में पहले ट्रेन की शुरुआत हो गई है। शिरडी से कोयम्बटूर कनेक्ट कर रही है ये ट्रेन। 7 डेज का ट्रिप होता है। दे स्टार्ट फ्रॉम कोयम्बटूर, गो टू शिरडी एंड देन अगेन फ्रॉम शिरडी बैक टू कोयम्बटूर। 3 दिन का टू एंड फ्रो है। तो ये प्राइवेट सेक्टर ऑपरेट कर रहा है, भारत गर्व ट्रेन कहते हैं इसको। दूसरा भी प्लान है, रामायण रूट कह रहे हैं जिसे, बिहार, यूपी एंड नेपाल इसको कवर करेगा। सो दीज आर थिंग्स प्लान्ड। ये लेकिन रूल है दैट नॉट मोर देन 5% ऑफ द रूट ऑन एनी रूट कैन बी गिवन टू द प्राइवेट सेक्टर। अब ये मोनेटाइजेशन में इसलिए नहीं आता पूरी तरह से क्योंकि ये पाइपलाइन के से ज्यादा पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप की तरह है। सरकार ने रूट्स को मोनेटाइज नहीं किया है, प्लेटफॉर्म्स को कर दिया है कि जहां बोला कि आपको 20 साल के लिए आपका ही राइट है, 25 साल के लिए या 5-10 साल के लिए आपका राइट है। बट जो ये रूट्स दिए गए हैं ये 10 साल 20 साल के लिए नहीं दिए गए हैं। ये दिए गए हैं कि आप इस ट्रेन को चलाइए। मतलब ये जो रूट दिया गया, इट्स मोर लाइक अ कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल वर्क, ये ठेकेदारी है ज्यादा। And it is less of maintenance and doing things. यहाँ कहा गया है कि आप ट्रेन चलाइए, आप पैसे कलेक्ट करिए, कुछ हिस्सा सरकार आपसे लेंगी, आपका काम होगा ट्रेन का मेंटेन। लेकिन जो रेलवे की पटरी वगैरह है उसकी मेंटेनेंस सरकार ही करेगी, वो मेंटेन करना इनका काम नहीं होगा। सो इट्स नॉट प्योरली मोनेटाइजेशन, ठीक है, दैट आइडिया, बट इट इज क्लोज टू दैट। तो ये भी एक तरीका है जिससे सरकार पैसे कमा रहे हैं, ठीक है। ऑल राइट, जैसे सोच के देखो, pelting stones at Vande Bharat. I mean, I see no logic to these things. और पकड़े भी नहीं जाते, लोगों को पकड़ा भी नहीं जाता ये करने के लिए, तो देश की संपत्ति तोड़ने की बात हो गई। तो ये कुछ जो हमारे एट्रीब्यूट्स हैं ये ठीक करना जरूरी है। इसलिए मैं बार बार पढ़ाई लिखाई पे बोलता हूँ और एजुकेशन की बात करता हूँ, लिटरेसी नहीं। लिटरेट बना भी दें, एजुकेटेड बनाना कुछ लोगों को बहुत मुश्किल है। तो आई एम ऑनेस्टली टेलिंग यू, तो एजुकेट करने की बहुत जरूरत है लोगों को अबाउट थिंग्स अराउंड देम एंड टेलिंग देम द डिटेल्स ऑफ इट एंड ऑल्सो वर्किंग ऑन द स्पिरिचुअल क्वोशेंट। ऑल्सो कीप दैट इन माइंड। Why do people get too much disturbed? Because there is a lot of material quotient, but the spiritual quotient is almost gone. So if you don't work on the spiritual quotient, you don't understand the idea of the spiritual system. तो नतीजा क्या होता है कि आप हर बात में अपने बृहत ईगो को लाते हैं, किसकी कुर्सी बड़ी काइंड ऑफ। तो उस पर बहुत सारे नुकसान होते हैं डेवलपमेंट के। तो ये अगर हम एजुकेट करें ठीक तरीके से इन चीज़ों के बारे में, तो हमें, मैं तुम्हें सच बता रहा हूं, तो सरकार में इतनी इनएफिशिएंसी नहीं है कि हमें जरूरत भी पड़ेगी बहुत ज्यादा प्राइवेट इंटरफेरेंस की इन मेनी सेक्टर्स। अगर सरकार आइडियली अपना काम करे, आइडियली अपना काम नहीं करते, दिक्कत वहां है बस। तो जो उनका काम है वही नहीं करते। कॉलेज के क्लर्क्स को आप याद करिए, वो तैयार ही नहीं है काम करने को। मेरे कॉलेज में भी थे और 90% चांसेस हैं आपके कॉलेज में भी होंगे। ये 30-35 साल का कल्चरल लेगेसी है उनका। हमारे टाइम पे हम उन पे जोक्स बनाते थे, 12 से पहले लेट नहीं, 3 के बाद भेंट नहीं। We would joke about them. Can't see them before 12, can't see them after 3. In between there is a 1 hour lunch time. You go in the morning, they will say come after lunch. You go after lunch, they will say come tomorrow. In case in your youthful exuberance you get angry and tell them I will complain about you, they shrug the shoulders, they say go complain. They are permanent workers. They know even the principal cannot remove me. ये खतरा बन जाता है फिर कि जब सरकार बहुत ज्यादा मौलिक ऑर्डर करते हैं, बहुत ज्यादा बेनिफिट्स दे देते हैं अपने वर्कर्स को, तो वर्कर्स कंप्लेसेंट हो जाते हैं और वहां से ये दिक्कतें आती हैं। नहीं तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी उतनी इंडिया में, क्योंकि हमें एक इनहेरेंट विश्वास है सरकार में। So government can actually do many things in India better than private sector because of the faith that government generates. ये faith सरकार ने बहुत दिनों में खोया है, ये समझा रहा हूं। आप देखेंगे शराब की दुकान पे भी लिखा रहता है सरकारी ठेके की दुकान। ठीक है कि लोग शराब पीने भी जाएंगे तो ये सोच के जाते हैं अच्छा नहीं नहीं ये सरकार वाला है तो मैं मरूंगा नहीं इसको पीकर, कम से कम इमीडिएटली नहीं मरूंगा, ओवर द पीरियड मरूंगा। That is my point. So government has a huge position in India's mindset and psyche, provided government can live up to that. That is the aspect. Okay. रेलवेज लॉस में चलेगी, बस लालू जी के वक्त में प्रॉफिट में थे। लालू जी वॉज टू इंडियन रेलवेज व्हाट एलेक्स फर्ग्यूसन वॉज टू मैनचेस्टर यूनाइटेड। बिफोर हिम एंड आफ्टर हिम एवरीथिंग गॉन। तो लालू जी के वक्त प्रॉफिट में थी, पता नहीं किस कारण से। जब वो 4 साल थे बट लॉस में, उसके कारण बहुत सारे हैं। जब मैं रेलवे डिस्कस करूंगा तो तुम्हारे साथ बात करूंगा। बट अब रेलवे की स्थिति धीरे धीरे सुधरने के चांसेस हैं जैसे रेलवे ये मोनेटाइजेशन शुरू करे। रेलवे इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट मिसमैनेज्ड सिस्टम्स इन इंडिया। मोस्ट मिसमैनेज्ड में से एक है वो। गरीबों के नाम पे बहुत लोग बहुत दिनों तक अपनी अंगीठी सेक रहे थे। Many people have taken a lot of advantage of Indian Railways, including the political class and the bureaucracy, and of course the private contractors, and sometimes the people traveling also. तुम सोचो प्लेटफॉर्म टिकट लिए बिना प्लेटफॉर्म पे जाने का क्या औचित्य है? पढ़े लिखे समझदार लोगों को ये करते हुए देखता हूं। प्लेटफॉर्म टिकट लिए बिना प्लेटफॉर्म पे जाते हैं और वीरता से निकल के बताते हुए मुझे तो किसी ने नहीं पकड़ा। चोर आदमी चोरी करके बताओ तो मत, कम से कम कि मैं चोरी करके आया मुझे कोई पकड़ नहीं पाया। तो अब ये जो छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं ना, ये पब्लिक एजुकेशन की बात है। इफ वी कैन इन्वॉल्व पीपल इन डेवलपमेंट, एजुकेट देम अबाउट इट, देयर विल बी मच। और यही अगर प्राइवेट रेलवे मैनेज्ड है और प्लेटफॉर्म है, सब लोग टिकट लेके जाते हैं अंदर, क्योंकि पता है कि अब पकड़े जाने का खतरा बहुत ज्यादा है। सोचो हम कैसे लोग हो गए फिर कि हमें पकड़ने का खतरा बताओ तब तो हम हिलेंगे, नहीं तो हम चोरी कर लेंगे। एक जोक किसी ने मुझे भेजा था, आपसे शेयर करता हूं, that the person said that we are, I mean, it reflects a lot about our country that even the container with which you wash after doing your loo is tied in a railway compartment. सोचो उसको लेके कौन जाता होगा, करोगे क्या उसका? एक फर्स्ट हैंड एक्सपीरियंस मैंने लिया था जब मैं स्टूडेंट डेज में था। मैं मास्टर्स कर रहा था उस वक्त, एक रिसर्च असिस्टेंट था एक जगह पे, तो वहां काम के लिए जा रहा था अक्रॉस ओवरनाइट जर्नी। जब सुबह नींद खुली तो एक भाई साहब बल्ब निकाल रहे थे रेलवे ट्रेन। The fellow was taking that out. All right. So I was much youthful and much less knowledgeable maybe. तो मैंने उनको समझाने की कोशिश की। मैंने कहा ये क्या कर रहे हैं आप, ये गलत बात है। तो उन्होंने कहा नहीं मेरे घर में बिल्कुल एक भी बल्ब नहीं है। बड़ी दीनता के साथ कहा, he was very sad saying this, not a single bulb in my house, I'm taking it. फिर भी मुझे लगा नहीं, मुझे थोड़ा परसिस्ट करना चाहिए, इनको समझा पाऊंगा। तो मैंने कहा अरे ये भी तो हमारी प्रॉपर्टी है। तो उन्होंने कहा इसीलिए ले जा रहा हूं। I had no answer after that. हमारी प्रॉपर्टी है, ले जा रहा हूं, अपने घर लगा लूंगा। तो ये आपको समझा रहा हूं that if educated people, well-to-do people are also doing it, at times. Then you cannot expect others to do something better. तो ये हमारे रेलवे की अगर बात करो, बहुत ही मिसयूज सिस्टम है. बट मुझे पढ़ाने तो रेलवे, जब मैं तुम्हें इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में पढ़ाऊंगा, I will tell you where we are going wrong there and how we can improve upon it. Okay, you write within this now, in the first part of the benefit. You write, it will result in providing rupees 6.5 lakh crore, rupees 6.5 lakh crore over next 5 years, as estimated by the government. As estimated by the government. Second, in fact, in a bracket you can write 2.3 lakh crore already, 2.3 lakh crore already recovered. 2.3 lakh crore, all right, already recovered. Second point, you write, it will help in saving the government. It will help in saving the government from cost of maintenance and repair. From cost of maintenance and repair without losing ownership of the asset. Without losing ownership of the asset. I hope we are clear on that. Government will still have the ownership, but maintenance and repair expenditure will be done by the private enterprise. Remember one thing in that, we are assuming that there will be a clause in the contract which will make maintenance and repair as a mandatory thing. If the contract is not done correctly and maintenance and repair do not become mandatory, then it will be a big loss to the government, because then it will be like selling your unit, because you're giving it to them for 25-26 years and then they will give it back to you dilapidated. So that is a danger that exists. We will write it in the challenge part then. You write third point. It will help in better utilization. It will help in better utilization of underutilized public assets. It will help in better utilization of underutilized public asset. All right, that is another thing that will happen, that those public assets which are not used today or underused today, the private sector starts using them better, and because they have to generate money out of it, and that improves the utilization. I'll give you an example. Till 2017, out of 155 airports in India, only 40 were operational properly. And then the government introduced a scheme called Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik. And within this, the government started giving some incentives to private players to fly more aircrafts on smaller airports and all. And then over the last 6 years, we see that out of 155 airports, 124 airports have now been operationalized. So this is what starts happening, that the size of the airport starts rising, more usage starts happening, because the private sector knows we have to recover money from here in order to pay it to the government or to make our own profit. Then you write fourth, it improves economic activity. It improves economic activity. Economic activity and encourages employment generation. All right, that is the next thing that happens. Economic activity is improved and employment generation is encouraged because of more use of, like take the example of airports. More use of airport will mean more ground staff employed, will mean more planes flying, so more airport staff employed, more tourism, more business, and more employment with that. Then you write next, fifth point. The proceeds of monetization can be used to develop alternative assets, for example, money collected from toll road can be used in development of PM Gram Sadak Yojana. Just giving you an example that the money collected from toll roads can be used for development of a PM Gram Sadak Yojana. Just one example, I repeat again, this can be done in many places. For example, money collected from privatizing or monetizing rather, not privatizing, but monetizing electricity generation companies can be used for running programs like rural electrification. So that is the idea, that how do you generate resources using one side to finance the other. Then you write challenges of NAMP. You wrote 5 benefits, right? Yes. Right. You write challenges of NAMP. Okay, now see, you write the first challenge, I'll explain it to you. So you write 1, it can result in concentration of resources, in few hands. I'll tell you why that can happen. अच्छा, अब एक बात सोचो, जब कहते हैं 6 एयरपोर्ट अदानी को दे दिए, ठीक है, ऐसी बात सुनते हैं आप, हम मान भी लेते हैं। अभी कुछ लोग सुप्रीम कोर्ट से नाराज हो गए जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बोला कि हिंडनबर्ग इज नो अथॉरिटी, यू इन्वेस्टिगेट एंड फाइंड आउट। उसको छापे भी नहीं अपना अखबार में ज्यादा, एक छोटा सा कॉलम दे दिया, बोले छोड़ो ये मतलब की बात नहीं है। बट यही समझा रहा हूं, अदानी को 6 एयरपोर्ट कैसे दिए, क्या बुलाया और बोला तुम ले जाओ ये एयरपोर्ट, अब चिंता की कोई बात नहीं है, ये तो नहीं हुआ। एक कॉम्पिटिटिव इवैल्यूएशन हुआ, फिर भी 6 एयरपोर्ट अदानी को मिले। हम में से कितने लोग ये जानते हैं, और हम में से मतलब मैं आपकी सिर्फ बात नहीं कर रहा, मैं पीपल इन जनरल की बात कर रहा हूं, हाउ मेनी पीपल वुड नो दैट 5 एयरपोर्ट्स इन इंडिया आर रन बाय GMR ग्रुप ऑल्सो, where all 5 were given to them during UPA days, and another 6 airports in India are run by Larsen and Toubro group, given to them during both UPA and NDA days. Why does this happen? My point was that it happens because if we are a country where there are hardly 4 or 5 big infrastructure firms, then chances that the project will go to one infrastructure firm or the other are very high. So if you are setting out 30 ports for monetization, obviously one of them will get 6, somebody will get 7, somebody will get 9. You can always highlight saying, look, this fellow got 9. You understand that? अब सोच के देखिए, एयर इंडिया हमने टाटा को बेची, टाटा के पास पहले ही एयर एशिया था, उसके अलावा विस्तारा भी था. Then this government is not only Adani Ambani's government. No, this is Tata's government also. Nobody wrote it in newspaper. Why are we selling Air India to Tata? It will result in monopoly of the Tatas. Think about it. It's perception building. Imagine the perception building is so tremendous that Jio forces Airtel and अभी तो सरकार के पक्ष में Jio forces Airtel and Vodafone Idea to reduce the price of telecom services, and people are upset at Jio. Jio is trying to monopolize telecom in India. Seriously? Can Jio do that in spite of Telecom Regulatory Authority of India? It cannot. It is not possible to do that. Even today, after 7 years of Jio and all the services that they give, still the largest supplier of telecom in India is Airtel. Followed by Jio and then Vodafone Idea. So the point I'm trying to drive home to you is that sometimes perceptions get created, but sometimes they can create a real problem. When we don't have the regulatory authority working well, for example, in case of infrastructure, we need a regulatory body badly here. Competition Commission of India will not find it easy to regulate infrastructure projects for the sheer reason that they don't have the expertise to do that. They have the expertise to run it in case of commercial projects and companies and so on, but for infrastructure they will find it difficult. Why? What is the idea? I'm giving you a story. It's just a story. There's nothing done related to reality to it. Alright, बस एक कहानी सुना रहा हूँ, reality से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. But एक कहानी सोचो. If there is a company called Reliance Infra, and this Reliance Infra wins the project for monetization of oil and gas pipeline in India. Now Reliance Infra is controlling oil gas pipelines on important locations. And there is another company called Reliance Petroleum. Even if you do or say nothing to the consumers will feel this is Reliance Infra and this is Reliance Petroleum. Let's buy from Reliance Petroleum because that ways we will be easily getting the services of Reliance Infra. Do I believe I'm reaching you on that? अगर by chance Reliance Petroleum ने एक hidden advertisement ही ऐसा डाल दिया that we can promise you better services and better guarantee of delivery because we have a group company which controls gas pipeline that can get even more ships moving. And that is concentration of resource in few hands. Because then Reliance is misusing its authority of controlling a public asset to promote its private firm. And this danger we always live with when we do monetization. That there can be group company holdings, and these group holdings can be doing multiple businesses, and one asset can become a support to another business, and they can start manipulating it. Do I believe you understand the story then? So keep that. That is one danger. Solution is that there should be a regulatory body to make sure that this can be stopped. All right, a separate regulatory authority. Competition Commission, again I repeat, may not be adept in handling it. Second point, then you write, second challenge, you write, my optional people have given you this hint. In my optional class they do this, if I'm going beyond my time, one of them will drop the bottle. याद दिलाने के लिए हो गया बुढ़ऊ, काम खत्म. लेकिन अभी मैं आपके 5 मिनट और लूंगा, लेकिन बस 5 मिनट ही लूंगा. There's some small points. So second point you write, if maintenance and repair clause is not there, if maintenance and repair clause are not there, then there can be over extraction of asset, resulting in loss for the government. Mind you, if I'm giving an asset for 20 years, 25 years, with no maintenance and repair clause, it will be returned to me after 25 years, completely dilapidated. You understand that? So that is the second challenge that we have. So obvious solution to this, there should be a maintenance and repair clause. Third, you write, it can result in deprivation for the poor if alternative assets are missing. If alternative assets are missing or ignored. I'll give you an example. Suppose you create a toll road and now force everybody to use that toll road by not creating a good alternative to it. You understand that? In that case, then everybody will either have to use the toll road, or then maybe there can be an absent road, or there will be a road which is very bad in structure. That then is not equitable. I can understand toll road will be better quality because people are paying to use it and it can have lesser congestion, and that is what people are paying for. That I can go faster, I can save fuel, and I can save my time. But that should not mean that alternatives are missing, because missing alternatives will mean that even if people are poor, you are forcing them to use it. You understand that? So in asset monetization, that's another challenge. We need to make sure that alternative assets are always created, especially for assets like roads, etc. And then you write one more. The proceeds of monetization may be used, the proceeds of monetization may be used for populist activities. This we just discussed, I'm sure it remains with you. For populist activities. हमारे सरकार को खूब सावधानी से चलने की जरूरत है. Our government budget today, I'm talking today's India's government budget, is around 45 lakh crore rupees. You divide it by 80 rupees, the exchange rate, it still is around 0.5 trillion rupees, or dollars, or $500 billion. You want to put $500 billion in perspective. Imagine $500 billion is almost twice the total GDP of Pakistan. इतना हमारा सरकार के खर्चे हैं बस. तो इन खर्चों को ठीक से किया जाए, ये गलत दिशा में ना जाए, इसके लिए बहुत सावधानी की जरूरत है. मैंने पाकिस्तान का नाम केवल एक कारण से लिया क्योंकि वो साउथ एशिया के तीसरी सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी है. So it's not that they are a very poor, they are a very small country. They are a large enough country. They are poor, no doubt, but they are a large enough country with a decent enough GDP of around $275 billion. And our government spends, only government expenditure of India is double than that. So the government expenditure part will have to be doubly careful. Do I believe we are clear on that? I'm giving you a conclusion then. You change the paragraph and write. Asset monetization can be a useful method to assure better revenue for government, employment generation, and utility of asset, but it will require regulatory authority, transparency in contract, and development of alternative assets to provide efficient growth. To provide efficient growth. Okay, you just give a heading for today. We'll stay on that. You write, privatization of Air India. We will begin with this story as I see you tomorrow. From tomorrow, as I told you, we will meet 7:45. So please be here only 7:45. All right, I'll see you at 7:45 tomorrow with privatization of Air India. We'll begin the class. Thank you. I also saw that advertisement, Parth. I understand as elections get closer, these things will happen. It's possible, Rakshit, I hope you got the answer in our discussion. It's possible that contract can lead to problems like we saw in License Raj. We will have to be transparent. Okay, people online, I see you tomorrow, 7:45 then. Thank you.